Welcome back to Soldier Field, where the Chicago Bears and their fans are awaiting a decision from referee Bill Carollo. And from our view, there isn't much of a decision to be made other than where the ball is going to be spotted, Dan.
I would think so. Let's look at it one more time. Tony Paschal's number 79 for Jacksonville. He comes in and, you know, he eradicates the pylon, but you can see the ball about the 3/4 yard line, just takes a nice convenient little right turn for the Bears and Manning and goes out of bounds.
Well, Bill Carollo has gone under the hood, has come out, and is about to give a verdict that we're pretty sure is going to make this crowd happy.
After reviewing the play, it's been determined it was a fumble on the field. However, the ball went out of bounds forward at the 1 yard line. By rule, we'll bring the ball back to the spot of the fumble, which will be the 5 yard line. Right hash will correct the clock to 13:15 on the game clock. Chicago is not charged a timeout. First down.
So it is 1st and goal for the Chicago Bears at the 5 yard line. Turnovers have been an Achilles heel for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I guess you could say a turnover is a turnover, but some are more demoralizing than others. And on that one, David Garrard, just an unbelievably poor throw, hitting Danielle Manning right in the chest with that football. I'm not sure what he possibly could have been looking at, but the Bears, perfect way to start a game.
The give is to Matt Forte, and Forte for a couple. Now, David Garrard threw only 3 interceptions last season. That's number 10 this year.
And again, you know, you're back to where there's tipped balls, there's balls that maybe the receiver slips and falls and things like that. But then there's a throw like that where, you know, it's really just impossible to defend, and the rest of the team sees that. And that's the kind of thing that when you're losing, and the Jags are certainly doing that at 4-8, it really undermines your confidence.
2nd and goal. Orton going to throw. Touchdown. Desmond Clark.
Well, how does Lovey's decision look after winning the toss to defer? It let his defense establish the tempo early on. And what do? They get a pick, setting up a short Chicago touchdown, and just like that, they're out front. Just wide open, just backpedaling into the end zone. Clark just sets up shop, and there he is. Way too easy. Gerald Sensabaugh, too late to react. Easy pickings.
Robbie Gould's extra point attempt is good. The Bears turn a turnover into points on the board. Kyle Orton, his 14th TD pass of the year. 7-0 Chicago.
Is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. Best Buy, you happier. And by Chevy, an American revolution.
The skyline of Chicago. And the Bears have taken a 7-0 lead. Desmond Clark on the receiving end of the touchdown pass from Kyle Orton. And there is number 38, Brian Witherspoon.
And there goes the football. Which really, the wind isn't, that's really kind of deceiving. You look at the flags on the goalposts, they're not moving all that much. It's not really projected to be a real windy day today, which, look at that. How was there enough wind to blow the ball off the tee when that thing is just hanging straight down?
Reputation.
I think it was just a bad set.
This is Witherspoon from the 7. Spinning close to the 25-yard line. And that's where Jacksonville will go back to work. Meanwhile, got a sports fan on your gift list, and shop online at the CBS Sports Store. Beat the crowds and save big on all officially licensed NFL gear right now. Just click on shop at cbssports.com. So David Garrard's job now is to shake off the early interception and go back to work. And Maurice Jones-Drew will start this series in the backfield behind Garrard. First down from the 25. And MJD may get a couple. And it'll be 2nd and 8. 22 games in a row with a takeaway.
That is continuing the tradition of great defense here in Chicago. And, of course, Lovie Smith, the defensive coordinator and a defensive guy who worked his way into the head coaching position. So you know how much attention he pays to defense. And he was one of those guys that years and years ago really spent hours and hours during the week working on creating turnovers, stripping the ball and interceptions.
Garrard pulls it down. Now flips to Jones-Drew out of the backfield. He has a first down and then some down the sideline and out of bounds around midfield.
Oh, look at the shot he puts on Mike Brown at the end of that. If you're counting on Maurice Jones-Drew to just step out of bounds and make it easy for you, you better start your thinking again. A beautifully set up screen, an outlet to Jones-Drew. Gets a good block there by Reister. But right there, if you're counting on him going out of bounds, forget about it. Better go low or not go at all on a guy that's only 5'7". He will have the leverage on you if you don't get underneath him. I know that's hard to do on a guy that short, but Mike Brown just figured it out.
First down from the 47. And this is Fred Taylor. And Taylor to about midfield before he is stacked up. Fred Taylor, a Florida graduate. And happy as could be when we talked to him last night.
He's a Gator, and he couldn't have been happier with what they did yesterday. And I'm sure all Florida alums are in the same boat. But Fred Taylor just steadily working his way up the NFL career rushing charts. Look at that. He's got a chance today to pass O.J. Simpson. Next in line would be Corey Dillon. If he had a 130-yard plus day today, he could make it all the way up and overtake John Riggins. That's pretty lofty company.
On 2nd and 7, Taylor slips, comes up, and dives across the 45-yard line to the 44. Our first NFL Today report of the day, and James Brown. JB.
Greg and Dan, Drew Brees uncorking at home. 3 plays, 52 yards here. He hooks up with Reggie Bush on a little 5-yarder there. The Saints taking the early lead over Atlanta, 7-0 there. Back to Greg Gumbel and Dan Deerdorf.
All right, James, boy, you look at those NFC South standings. Who would have thought New Orleans would be at the bottom looking up at everybody else in that division?
Count me in that group.
Garrard pulls his way forward for the first down.
Easily. Man, great surge by the middle of that Jacksonville offensive line.
So first down Jacksonville, and they've moved to the Bear 42-yard line.
Didn't look like the Bears were ready at all for a quarterback sneak. David Garrard is a guy with tremendous leg strength, and as you can see right there, he converts. He's a guy very powerful from the waist down at 6'1", 245 pounds. He's built more like a fullback than a quarterback.
Double tight end set up now for Jacksonville, and here comes Maurice Jones-Drew with a hole up the middle, bouncing to the 35.
And what we're looking at here is really Jacksonville's chance to get back into and stay in this game. They have to keep pounding the rock, and Jack Del Rio knows that, yeah, we might have some negative plays. We might have a lot of plays that don't go anywhere, but we have to keep running the football. It's who we are. We're not built to throw it 45 or 50 times. If that's the case, we're guaranteed a loss.
Now 2nd and 4. 7 rushes and 9 offensive plays so far. And here's another one on the ground as Jones-Drew to about the 33. Dan, is there a team with more big tight ends in the league than Jacksonville?
Well, they kind of remind me of the way the Redskins used to be when Joe Gibbs ran that 3 tight end offense. And it's all about running the football and then the play action that comes off of it. And, you know, again, we touched on it that this team, when they lost both of their guards, Mo Williams and Vince Manawai on opening day, and then Brad Meester was out for the first 6 games of the year, that it really set them back, and quite frankly, they've never recovered from it.
There are 3 tight ends now in on 3rd and 2. Fred Taylor, first down. inside the 30 to the 26-yard line. Wally Ogunleye making the stop.
Oh, and again, outstanding blocking up front for Jacksonville. Look at it, tight line splits. They are all mashed in there together, but the Bears don't have anybody flowing into the hole. And Fred Taylor, look how he gets a chance to find himself a hole. And on that run right there, he passes O.J. Simpson. And that's pretty lofty company.
And he is now number 17 on the NFL's all-time rushing list on first down. Taylor just inside the 25 to the 24-yard line. Interesting talking to both Fred Taylor and Jack Del Rio last night about Fred Taylor's future and whether he does have one in Jacksonville with his role that continues to diminish with the presence of Maurice Jones-Drew.
Well, this is his 11th year. Fred is 32 years old. He'll be 33 next month. So he is at an age where, you know, not many running backs in this league have been real productive. But Fred makes it known he wants to continue playing. He wants to continue in Jacksonville.
Gerard rolling to the near side, looking, and throws it away just as he is belted out of bounds by Mark Anderson, number 97.
And boy, did he get belted out of bounds, and he took one of the stadium guys with him when he got hit. David held on to that football just long enough to guarantee that he was really going to get popped. And he gets propelled out of bounds right here. Take a look as he falls. Whoop, there we go. The hit wasn't really that hard, but he ends up getting thrown down and out. Good pursuit. Anderson, who really hasn't done a whole lot since his rookie year, gets in on a little something.
3rd and 8 now. Good protection. The pass is tipped at the line of scrimmage and falls incomplete.
Looks like Adonijay got his hand on the ball. Again, every defensive lineman taught, if I'm not going to get close, and that's exactly what happened. But Adonijay at the last minute, what a good job of getting the left hand up in the air. David Gerard thought he had a really nice passing lane in there, but it closed off in a hurry, and now we'll see if Scobie can put him on the board.
From 42 yards out.
This field is slippery. His plant foot going to be critical.
Kick is on the way, and it's good. 6:28 to play, first quarter. Jacksonville recovers from the early touchdown against them. It's 7-3 Bears. Together a 12-play, 51-yard drive, mostly on the ground. 9 of the 12 plays were on the ground. And Josh Scobie with a 42-yard field goal. It's 7-3 Chicago. Just under 6.5 to play in the first quarter here in frigid Soldier Field.
And that drive really helped stabilize a boat that was rocking pretty good after David Gerard throws that interception to get this game started. That's exactly what Jacksonville needed.
That's Daniel Manning at about the goal line for the kickoff. Manning going to let it bounce inside the 10 and scoop it up. Looking for running room, trying to turn the corner. And is brought down just short of the 15-yard line. Reggie Nelson with the tackle. The Bears will start deep in their own territory when we come back right after this.
By Bud Light. The difference is drinkability.
6 minutes, 20 seconds to play.
Greg, I'm sorry, but December football, that's exactly what it should look like.
If you say so.
Yeah, I am.
I know. Kyle Orton, the throw. Out of the backfield, Matt Forte across the 25-yard line and a first down. The Bears' offensive line at the heart of it. He's 11-year veteran Olin Kreutz making his 99th consecutive start. The backs and the receivers, and the rookie you just saw, Matt Forte, continues to impress. 3rd in the NFL in total yards from scrimmage. Only the 4th Bears rookie ever to rush for more than 1,000 yards in a season. Devin Hester now into the lineup as a wide receiver. He's at the top of your screen, but the give is to Forte. Forte with a hole up the middle. 40. Midfield and into Jacksonville territory for a Chicago first down.
Reggie Nelson, I believe, is the Jacksonville defensive back. I think he's the first guy that even makes contact with Matt Forte, and he only grabs him by the hip, but that's the first time that Forte is even touched. What a magnificent job of blocking up front. Take a look at how this opens up off a left guard, and look at the power, the dirt flying off of the feet of Matt Forte.
Now on first down from the Jacksonville 49-yard line. Here comes the blitz. Orton gets rid of it. Far side. That's complete to Hester. And Hester down the sideline, out of bounds at about the 30.
Well, that's where Devin Hester, that great speed of his, can run off a corner, and that time he did it to Brian Williams.
How about Matt Forte having eclipsed Gale Sayers' mark? I'm telling you, when you eclipse any mark by Gale Sayers, you've done something.
And I'll guarantee that Matt Forte knows exactly what he's done. You do not pass a man of Gale Sayers' caliber and not have some appreciation for what you've accomplished.
Bears right back now at the 30-yard line of Jacksonville, and Orton quick drop, quick throw on the outside. That's complete to Rasheed Davis. Let's take a quick check of the Jacksonville defense. It's a 4-3, and as Jacksonville's #1 draft pick at left defensive end, Derek Harvey, the rookie out of Florida. The linebackers, Clint Ingram and Justin Durant, flank middle linebacker Darrell Smith, the Jags' leading tackler. And the Jaguars have lost their interception leader, cornerback Rasheed Mathis. Drayton Florence starting in his spot at right corner today.
Greg, the last two plays, Jacksonville has blitzed off the edge, and Kyle Orton has made them pay with 2 completions on quick deliveries. He has read them and handled them pretty well.
2nd and 4. Here's Forte. And not much up the middle for Matt Forte on this play. Stacked up by the rookie Derek Harvey, among others. Damn, the sun is out. Take a picture.
Well, it's been in and out all day. Of course, it's kind of deceiving as we're driving to the stadium this morning. The sun was out. And you'd say, well, this doesn't look that bad. And you drive along and look at Lake Michigan and say, you know, a dip wouldn't be all that bad until you realize that it's only about 7 degrees outside.
A dip wouldn't be all that bad.
Well, it's not frozen over yet.
Even the polar bears go, I'll pass. Forte, penalty markers fly, and Forte to about the 20-yard line.
I believe Jacksonville might have been guilty of encroachment. They were across the line of scrimmage. Good hard count by Kyle Orton. He got the guys to jump. Offensive lineman's best friend is a quarterback who will vary his snap count on the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th hut and do it with some inflection, and Kyle Orton did it very well there.
Bill Carollo checking with the Bears.
Offside, defense, number 95. That penalty is declined.
All right, let's listen in on this. This is what the defensive
First down.
lineman heard from Kyle Orton. Listen to the emphasis. That's a great listen in at what it sounds like. And of course, if you're a defensive tackle, that's only happening about 2 feet away, and you've got your nerves and muscles all coiled up, ready to go. It's enough to trigger a response.
First down, Chicago at the Jacksonville 20. Here's Forte, right side, inside the 20 to about the 17. Yeah, we're talking with Bill Carollo, our referee today before the game. He said, do you do anything special for, this kind of weather? And he said, oh, maybe I'll put on an extra shirt. And then he thought, oh, maybe an extra 2 today.
And again, it could be so much worse because the wind is not howling like it sometimes does here in Chicago during the winter.
I'm impressed. Bill going without the gloves. Here in the first half now, the Bears. The 5 wide receivers. That includes Forte as Orton throws over the middle, and it's behind his intended receiver, Desmond Clark.
I think Kyle Orton is starting to come all the way back from that ankle injury, and he delivers a ball that's pretty well behind Clark. Now, he had to throw it away from the coverage. He had a safety coming in, and he throws it, though, well behind his receiver. No way that's going to end up a completion. but it also didn't end up being an interception.
Lovie Smith told us Kyle Orton's ankle getting a little bit better every week since he hurt it 4 weeks ago against Detroit.
There's been a real change in his production, pre-injury and post.
3rd and 7. Orton throwing. That's complete to the 10-yard line and to about the 6 or the 5 is Marty Booker. It'll be 1st and goal.
Well, Marty Booker has come back to Chicago, and that was a strike from Kyle Orton. So critical on a pattern like this. Hit your receiver in stride so he can keep going and then get his head upfield. But you notice what a great job Marty Booker did of looking the ball into his hands. His helmet did not snap around upfield until he had caught that ball and secured it. A veteran receiver there, not doing the look upfield and the dropsies.
10th play of an 81-yard drive so far. 1st and goal for the Bears, and here's Forte. Inside the 5 to the 4. Forte, 6 touchdowns rushing on the season, 4 on the receiving end of passes.
Keep in mind, this guy was the 44th player taken in the draft when he was picked in the 2nd round by the Bears. Their 1st round pick was Chris Williams, the tackle. Since 1970, he could be the 8th rookie to lead his team in both categories.
Play fake. Orton rolling, looking, throwing. Did he stay in bounds? No. Out of bounds. Intended for Rasheed Davis.
Well, he didn't hold on to the ball either. He had it, and then it came flying out of there.
3rd and goal.
And I think just Orton rolling out like that is something that he couldn't have done immediately after he came back from that injury.
Remember, we specifically asked Lovie Smith about it, and Lovie Smith says he's getting better, he's getting stronger.
And it's good news for Chicago. Because, again, to stress the importance of their remaining 4 games, they better win them all if they want to have a chance at the playoffs.
And movement up front.
Looked like Roberto Garza got into his pass set about 3 seconds early.
3 offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Roberto Garza, the right guard.
False starts are a nuisance and really a liability for an offensive lineman. You can somewhat understand them on the road. They are really frustrating when they happen to the home team when there's no crowd noise to interfere with you hearing your own quarterback.
I'm proud to know I work with a man who was never guilty of one.
It's embarrassing.
3rd and goal.
And yes, I am guilty.
Orton throwing inside the 5, and that's complete to Greg Olson, the 2nd-year tight end out of Miami. So here comes the field goal unit. Robbie Gould and company.
What a good, solid drive by Chicago. Their first drive was minuscule. It only had to cover 5 yards, but this was a good, solid mix and match drive called by Ron Turner, the offensive coordinator.
This will be a 22-yard attempt by Gould. And this one from head on. The kick is up and the kick is good. And in the final 20 seconds of the 1st quarter, the Bears extend their lead to 10-3. For the 2009 Pro Bowl on NFL.com ends Tuesday, December the 9th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Vote online or on your mobile phone today, only at NFL.com/Pro Bowl. 10-3 Bears. Just 19 seconds remaining here in the 1st quarter. Maurice Jones-Drew from inside his 10-yard line to the 25 and to about the 30, and we'll take a timeout. You know what? This is what playing football in Chicago in December looks like. 14 seconds remaining here in the 1st quarter at Soldier Field, where the Bears lead Jacksonville 10-3.
That's preparedness. This crowd knows how to come to a football game. They didn't get caught. They didn't get caught by surprise.
On 1st down, Garrard with a quick drop, pulls it down, looks the other way, running out of time, and throws for Maurice Jones-Drew across the 30. And out of bounds just shy of the 35-yard line with 4 seconds on the clock to play in the 1st quarter.
And if you're the Chicago Bears, anytime David Garrard is in trouble, immediately locate number 32 if he's on the field, because Garrard is making a serious attempt at trying to find Maurice Jones-Drew.
And we wind the clock, and the clock runs down on the first quarter. Take a look at the last two drives these teams put together. It's a 10-3 game at the end of one. Back to Soldier Field. Jacksonville with a 2nd and 6. And this is Fred Taylor. And Taylor across the 35 to about the 37-yard line, where Mike Brown, up from his safety position, makes the stop.
Fred Taylor telling us yesterday that their running game may not be spectacular. He said, you know what we want? We want to get the yardage we need +1. So on 3rd and 4, if they run it for just 5, they couldn't be happier. They want to prolong the game with them keeping the ball, and they know that we're just going to get yardage in smaller chunks, knowing sooner or later we're going to break a big one.
Grinding, I believe, is the word he used.
They bleed them out, another phrase he used, but they know there's a big run somewhere in there.
On 3rd and 3, quick pass, popped into the air, incomplete. Pass intended for Jerry Porter, and Corey Graham was there to break it up.
And Lance Briggs is flat on his back looking at that football floating up in the air, hoping it would just drift far enough to get close to him. Watch Briggs at the end of this. He's going to end up on the ground, and there's the football, but pretty tough to make a reaction from flat on your back. Man, you just hoped it would just drift about another 2 feet. He could have gotten himself an INT.
Here's Devin Hester deep now for the Bears. First punt of the day for either side. Steve Weatherford to kick it away for Jacksonville. Just barely got it away. Hester going to let it drop and fall out of bounds in the vicinity of the 15-yard line. 14:04 to play. Second quarter. Soldier Field. Chicago Bears lead the day. Fred Taylor, moving up the charts, has passed O.J. Simpson and Corey Dillon already today, and is now the 16th all-time rusher in the National Football League.
And 110 yards until he gets John Riggins.
This is Matt Forte across the 25 and out to about the 28-yard line, where Gerald Sensabaugh makes the stop.
And kudos to that Chicago offensive line, Greg. Look at this hole again, right off right guard. Look at it open up just in the last minute. Rob Meyer and John Henderson get split. And Matt Forte, look at the vision he has right here. Yep, there it is. Instead of just sticking his helmet into the back of one of his offensive linemen, he waited for the crease and found it.
Orton now down the sideline. Incomplete. Brandon Lloyd was covered by Drayton Florence. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Well, Matt Forte has a lot of explosiveness. He can break the big run. There he is against St. Louis. He goes for 47 yards. Again, look at him make people miss. He went for 26 in that run against the Vikings. And then earlier today, he broke one off for 27. It is hard to tell you guys out there in our audience how much the Bears love Matt Forte, and why wouldn't they?
Now on 2nd and 10, Forte again. And pulls his way across the 30 to the 31. Darrell Smith makes the stop. And Dan, it's hard to say that a guy is a steal at a second-round pick, but that's exactly what he is.
I asked Lovie Smith, I said, when did you stop thinking of Matt Forte as a rookie? And he said, the day he got here. He's never acted like a rookie. He doesn't blow assignments. He doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't drop passes. He never gets that glassy look in his eyes like I don't know what's going on.
Actually, Lovey also said, oh, he's a rookie?
Right.
3rd and 6 now. Orton throws out here. That's complete to the tight end, Greg Olsen. And Olsen into Jacksonville territory and out of bounds inside the 45 to about the 43-yard line.
Well, Kyle Orton loves to get the ball to his tight ends, whether it's Desmond Clark or Greg Olsen. And, of course, this is what you really love, a guy that makes something after the catch. It's only a short completion, but he runs right through the tackle coming up right there. He gets right by Sensabaugh, fights like heck to stay in bounds. And Kyle Orton repeatedly attempts to find his tight ends.
Forte. And And Forte for maybe a yard. Time to head back to James Brown in the studio, where I'm sure it's very warm, JB.
Greg and Dan, the Colts are looking for their 6th straight victory. They get a good start. Here's Dominic Rhodes. Take a look at this nice movement here. 17 yards to pay dirt to take a 7-0 lead. Hey, Greg, your crew here says you like it cold in the studio, but you don't like it cold outside. Dan, that's a conundrum, is it not?
Yes, it is, JB, and I'm the one that has to deal with it every week. You would never know this guy lives in Florida, being with him up here in Chicago. He's been whining since we got here.
2nd and 10. Incomplete. Greg Olsen in and out of his hands. Dan, I was thinking today brings back memories of when I was a kid. This time of year, my dad would say, hey, do you want to go to the Bears game on Sunday? And I'd go, no.
Yeah. For a guy who grew up in Chicago, your blood has certainly thinned since you left.
Didn't say I wasn't used to it, just said I don't like it. 42-yard line. 3rd and 10 now for Orton. Orton throws outside, and that is in and out of the hands of Forte.
And that is really rare. We just talked about how sure-handed Matt Forte is. You can count on one hand the number of catchable balls that have been thrown his way that he has dropped this year. And a classic look. Look where his head was when the ball came through his hands. He had already turned upfield. You kids out there, it never changes no matter what level you're playing. If you don't look the ball into your hands, chances are you're going to drop it.
Dennis Northcutt deep for the punt. Brad Maynard gets it away and floats it out of bounds. Let's see where the spot will be. At about the 8-yard line. Nice job by Brad Maynard. David Garrard deep in his own territory right after this.
Ever. And by Turbo HD by Dish Network.
11:21 to play here in the first half. Matt Forte wishing he had had that reception opportunity back. First down from their own 8-yard line for the Jacksonville Jaguars. MJD across the 10 to about the 12.
Hard to advertise that you're going to run the football any more than Jacksonville is when they get in that formation. One back, no wide receivers, everybody bunched in. You got 3 tight ends in to block. It's a real clustered formation, and the Bears, hey, they knew it was coming. It is what it is, and Jack Del Rio's team, they'll declare themselves early. It's our only chance.
And often. 2nd and 6. MJD's value to the Jacksonville offense. He gets the football again and stumbling across the 15 to about the 17, where he'll be about a yard shy of a first down.
So you just take a look at Jacksonville. Here they all are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Nobody split wide. They are all right there on the line of scrimmage, all from tight end to tight end. We're coming at you. Can you muscle up and stop it?
13 rushes, 6 passes. 3rd and 1. Jones-Drew fighting for a first down. Did he get there? See where they spot the ball. It'll be close.
I'm not sure he did. Brian Urlacher doesn't think he did.
Nor does Jack Del Rio. He sends the punting unit on.
Boy, they're not even going to come in and measure it. Ooh, that's a real frustration. Anthony Adams, he was excited going off. That was a really nice piece of work by the interior tackles of the Bears.
But as you mentioned, Dan, there was no mystery about what was coming.
Nope.
Devin Hester back at his own 40-yard line.
Can Devin Hester go an entire season without a kick return for a touchdown? I would never have thought it possible, but here we are. 13th game of the year.
Weatherford's kick They're not going to give Hester a chance on this one.
Well, there's one of the reasons why. Kind of hard to return it when they kick it out of bounds.
Back to Chicago after this. Yes, what happens in this motel room will unlock the biggest CSI Miami secret ever. All new CSI Miami tomorrow here on CBS, America's most watched network.
I'm sorry, but the glasses on the outside of that mask, that's very cool. That's a great look.
36-yard punt gives the Bears terrific field position at their own 47-yard line. Important. Under pressure and goes down at his own 38.
Paul Spicer just crushed that pocket. Boy, this guy's been doing it for a long time for Jacksonville, but he just, talk about collapsing the pocket. Look at Spicer coming in there from right end, and Kyle Orton, by the time he gets back there, tries to recover and move. That's just great work by Spicer. Being held at the same time, John St. Clair's got the old arm bar going on him, but still, Spicer gets in there and disrupts it to the point where it ends up being a sack.
It's almost like the old wrestling step over toe hold. 2nd and 18. This is Adrian Peterson, and Peterson left side almost makes it back to the original line of scrimmage at the 46-yard line. Darrell Smith and Gerald Sensabaugh with the stop. 8:15 to play in the first half.
You know, that sack by Jacksonville was much needed, because that's one of the things that's really kind of been lacking for them this year. They have not put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. You know, this defensive line is without a real stalwart, as Marcus Stroud left and went to Buffalo. Stroud and Henderson were two fixtures there at defensive tackle, much like the two Williams in Minnesota. And Marcus Stroud has been missed.
3rd and 11 now. Orton stepping up, got hit from behind and throws incomplete. Derek Harvey, the rookie, got an arm on it.
Boy, he got him once and almost slapped the ball away. Harvey went by the first time. Looked like he tried to slap the ball out. There he is, number 91, right there at the bottom. Watch him go by the first time. Yeah, he swipes at the ball. Orton tries to reset, but Harvey kept working and got him with the pressure from behind.
Orton was fortunate to be able to get his arm moving forward.
Yes, he was.
Northcutt back at his own 15-yard line for the kick coming from Brad Maynard.
Quality series there for the defensive line of Jacksonville.
Northcutt going to let it go, drops inside the 5, and is going to roll to a stop at about the 5.5-yard line. Brad Maynard putting it down on that frozen turf, and there it stayed. 10-3, Chicago.
On CBS is sponsored by Acura. Visit shopacura.com during the Drive Home for the Holidays event. Acura. Advance. And by Lipitor.
7 minutes, 23 seconds remaining here in the first half. Jacksonville's last 2 drives have started at their own 8 and now at their own 6-yard line. And Freddie Taylor on the handoff, with room to run out across the 10 to about the 12. Kevin Payne and Anthony Adams making the stop.
See, that's one of the, I think, problems for the Bears. When you put that many people on the line of scrimmage, your second level isn't there. And if you find a crease, even if it doesn't result in a big play, it still results in something like, see how everyone is right there on the line of scrimmage, all the linebackers within a yard of the ball. Well, your second level isn't there. So what happens is you're making tackles from the side instead of head on. And you end up, what, giving away 6 yards on first down if they find a crease.
Now 2nd and 4. Taylor again. Back to the line of scrimmage and no more. It'll be 3rd and 4.
Well, the Jaguars on the last series, they ran it 3 straight times and didn't convert the first down. They run the first 2 downs of this drive. It'll be interesting to see if they try a 6th consecutive run or whether or not they try to do a little play action and come out of this with a big play.
David Garrard just 2 out of 6 throwing for 23 yards and an interception.
Well, they've declared themselves. They've gone to the spread. Remember, Garrard can run, though.
The give to Maurice Jones-Drew, shakes a tackler, but doesn't get much more than a yard or two.
Now, talk about the power of Jones-Drew. He wasn't even visible anywhere in there, and yet that pile kept moving in positive territory. Not enough for a first down. This guy, if you saw him go in, watch him go into this, after he gets by Alex Brown. Okay, he is no longer in sight. This is now a scrum, but the scrum moved forward. 5'7" and a lot of power.
He got 2 yards out of it. Devin Hester.
Again, though, 6 straight runs by Jacksonville does not result in a first down.
And we get a whistle.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
And this will back Jacksonville up.
Well, this is not the way to protect yourself from a field position standpoint. And that is the way you lose football games when 4 out of your 5 possessions, it's 3 plays and a punt or a turnover.
3 straight punts for Jacksonville now. And Hester is at midfield.
He's going to get a chance with this.
From the 44 of Jacksonville, up the sideline, cutting it back, inside the 15-yard line. And he's going to be ruled out of bounds back at the 23.
But the 3 and out. Give credit to the Chicago Bears. They played the run, and run is what they got. They forced the punt, and now Jacksonville is paying for it. Right there is where he steps out of bounds. Good job by the official. The left is in. The right is well out. Right at the 22-yard line.
Actually, it looked to be at about the 23, but the placement is at the 22.
I thought it was exactly at the 23.
It was to Forte, and Forte just shy of the 20. Reggie Hayward makes the stop.
The Bears picked up a yard on that spot. No doubt about it.
Clock continues to move. We are coming up on 4.5 minutes to play in the first half.
Well, December football, a lot of it in cold weather, things like that. It's a field position game. And right now, the field position battle is being won by Chicago.
Both teams, all their timeouts remaining. Forte again, and he is buried at the 25 by Derek Harvey, who has turned in a whale of an effort here in the first half.
Well, Drayton Florence was in there as well. Take a look at Jacksonville right here. There's Harvey, and there's Florence right upfield as well. The corner force was up there lickety-split, and that play had nowhere to go. Forte buried.
3:45 to play, first half. 3rd and 13. Orton with protection this time. Forte out of the backfield, inside the 20 to about the 19, maybe the 18-yard line, but that'll bring Robbie Gould on for the field goal attempt.
And that is outstanding work by Jacksonville defensively. I know that they're 4-8, and I think it's pretty obvious that they're still playing, and they're still playing hard. Because even with horrific field position, they forced Chicago into a field goal situation. That was a little pride involved there, I think, for Jacksonville's defense.
This one will be from 36 yards out. Gould was good from 22. And he will look to give the Bears a 10-point lead. Kick is on its way and looks good. 3 trips into the red zone, 3 scores for the Chicago Bears on a cold December day. 2:44 to play in the first half. Chicago leads at 13. And the Jets in the nightcap. Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers taking on Ray Lewis and the Ravens, or the Broncos and the Panthers. Check your local listings. It all begins with Davey, JB, Dan, Coach, Shannon, and Boomer on the NFL Today. And while we're on the subject, I know I speak for you, Dan, and the rest of our crew, and we send our condolences along to our buddy Dan Marino on the loss of his father, Dan Sr.
Dan, of course, not in the studio today as he's with his family. And for Mark Wolf, our producer, Bob Fishman, our director, our entire crew who know the Marinos again. Greg, you said it all.
Witherspoon on the run at his own 5-yard line. Hit at the 20, shakes the tackler out across the 25 to about the 26-yard line. So 2 minutes, 36 seconds remain here in the first half, and David Garrard has all 3 of his timeouts remaining, as do the Bears.
Well, they have run the ball 17 times and passed it only 6. I think that Jacksonville is going to have to shake things up a little bit. You can see that nothing big has happened on the ground in the Jacksonville running game, and they're going to have to, I think, get a little more aggressive in throwing the football.
Garrard throwing over the middle, tipped, incomplete. Pass intended for Mercedes Lewis.
Well, that certainly didn't catch Chicago by surprise. Mercedes Lewis was bracketed short and long, yet Garrard still tries to feather it in there. He's got a big target, but if you'll notice, 3 blue shirts in there. Payne deep, Urlacher short. There are guys all over the place.
David Garrard, 2 of 7 for 23 yards throwing against a Bears defense that allows 240 yards throwing a game. Maurice Jones-Drew, 35, still on his feet. First down to the 40-yard line.
Man, great job by Maurice Jones-Drew of keeping your blocker out in front of you and giving him a chance to make a block. Take a look right here as he breaks away. There he's got Jerry Porter in front of him, and he kind of muscles Porter into the block. Don't run by your blockers. Let them stay in front of you and make something happen. 2 minutes to play here in the first half at Soldier Field. Jacksonville trying to put something on board before the break. 13-3. Sprint halftime report. Good news for Chicago Bears. Both Green Bay and Minnesota on the short end of the scores of their respective games right now. That flipped to Maurice Jones-Drew. Didn't get much. Marcus Harrison making the stop. Well, Maurice Jones-Drew did his club a big favor with that last run where he moved the chains. As we went to the 2-minute warning, Brian Urlacher was walking around out there. He was really, really frustrated that they allowed a conversion by Jacksonville. Garrard lost the ball, and it's incomplete. Had his arm going forward, and you can tell from his reaction he really didn't mean to let it go. No, I think that's the old tuck. I think he was trying to tuck it away, and it came out. And this is where a quarterback gets the benefit of the doubt. He did not mean for that football to leave his hand like that, but it was a throwing motion. You could see he even reached out with his left to try to catch it and bring it back. But that's ruled an incomplete pass, as it should be. That's the letter of the law. Now 3rd and 9. Garrard over the middle. Jones-Drew had it, dropped it. Well, he had Lance Briggs in his lap. Good job by Chicago. They show blitz. They get up there and show blitz, and then they backpedal out of there and get back into their cover 2. So they've got the umbrella, and Maurice Jones-Drew, I think he thought he was about to get hammered by Lance Briggs and lost his concentration. For the 4th straight time, Jacksonville has to punt it away, and Devin Hester is at the other end. Hester lost it and covered it up. Well, Devin Hester muffed the punt. Serves it up for any and all as it just goes right through his hands. He never does get the handle, but very fortunate for him that it really came right back to him. Owens really close to getting that football, but Hester very fortunate. Yeah, everyone in Chicago is painfully aware of that little nugget right there. No one more so than Devin Hester.
First down now from their own 27-yard line. Orton throwing over the middle, and this is Forte. It's an interesting conversation, Dan. In the effort to turn Devin Hester into a wide receiver, are you costing yourselves a terrific kick returner in the process?
Well, clearly you have. Now, Lovie Smith sees enough of an upside as a receiver. They're going to stick with him.
2nd and 3, incomplete. Rasheed Davis dropped it over the middle. Stops the clock with 56 seconds to play.
Boy, and that brings a few raspberries from the Soldier Field crowd. Got to catch this. Just a wide open slant. Outstanding throw from your quarterback. This is the National Football League. You got to catch passes like that.
Third and 4. Throwing the far side of the field, and that is Forte, and he's out of bounds at the 40-yard line for a first down. Stops the clock with 51 seconds to play.
You saw Matt Forte look that ball in that time. Remember earlier this quarter he had the drop by not looking it in. See that career long 49 yards for Robbie Gould. Keep in mind, though, as cold as it is today, that football is hard.
Orton with good protection, throwing down the middle, and that's Hester at the 30-yard line for a first down.
Boy, Gerald Sensabaugh's got to be going, what do I have to do? He really had pretty good coverage on Devin Hester, and Orton just threw a beauty. Sensabaugh's the safety on the cover 2. He's got the coverage. He's just a little deep and can't fight his way back in as he tries to close a little bit on Hester. You see his feet slip out from under him. Sensabaugh was in a pretty good spot, but then just couldn't close the last yard, and a great throw. And Hester acknowledges that throw from Orton.
31-yard pickup, and the Bears use the first of their timeouts to stop the clock with 42 seconds to play here in the first half.
That was some throw from Horton, and a good pattern run by Devin Hester. And, you know, Greg, we did talk about it earlier. There's no question that it's damaged his abilities as a returner. But I think the Bears see such an upside as he evolves into an every down receiver. All you ask is that every week he gets a little better, and that's what Devin Hester is doing.
First down from just inside the Jacksonville 30. Orton steps up, throws it complete just as he was hit. We have a penalty marker downfield.
Deep downfield.
This is going to go against Jacksonville.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact. 54, defense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
The penalty is on Mike Peterson.
Well, Mike Peterson, all of you in Jacksonville know the story. The normal starting middle linebacker that got sideways with Jack Del Rio a little bit during a meeting, got tossed for a couple of days. Darrell Smith has taken over the starting position, but Peterson still plays a lot of snaps.
Orton rolling, throws, that's complete to Hester, and Hester lost his footing.
Well, he was going to dig and try to get out of bounds to stop the clock, and you're right, he just slipped.
Not the first slip we've seen out here on this field today. Bears use their second timeout.
You see right there, just his left foot slips out from underneath him, and then he just couldn't ever get his legs back underneath him. I've got to wonder if at some point in time the powers that be here in Chicago don't go to some sort of an artificial surface here, because they have many problems with the playing surface here at Soldier Field. They've resodded the middle of the field.
And it has been an issue in the first half.
And it has been an issue in games prior to this during the course of the season. We saw Fred Taylor slip early on in this game. Now Marty Booker, as he tends to work upfield, the defender slipped and fell. And there goes Devin Hester.
29 seconds to play. Orton throwing for the end zone. Tipped and incomplete. Nice play by Justin Durant, who went high to get a hand on the ball.
Well, a great range by a linebacker all the way down in the end zone to make that play. You don't normally ask your linebackers to cover that much territory, but Justin Durant, there you see him. He drifted all the way back there, elevated at exactly the right time. Big time play.
So it's 3rd and 8 now for the Bears at the Jaguars 22. Play fake, gonna throw up the seam, and that's at the goal line. Touchdown. Greg Olsen made the catch, and a fine throw on the money from Kyle Orton.
We talked earlier about how Kyle Orton loves his tight ends, and you called it exactly right, Greg, on the seam pattern. What a precision throw by Orton. And in traffic, a big-time catch by Olsen.
This is going to be an automatic review upstairs.
Yeah, they're going to determine whether Olsen got into the end zone.
His knee looked down at maybe the half-yard line before he extended the football.
Yeah, when does he extend the ball? Because certainly he's sitting in the field of play without being in the end zone. But it's all about where the football is, not where he is. Where is the football when Greg Olsen is officially down? Well, I can't tell from that angle.
The official at the goal line ruled touchdown, but we're going to get an automatic look since we're under the 2-minute mark.
But means that Bill Carollo is going to have to see something very definitive. You see his foot go into the end zone, but that doesn't matter. All that matters is where is the football when Greg Olsen is down. This might give us a good look here. He's down right there. He has started to reach out with the football. I'm not sure we're going to see anything here that overturns the call on the field. I don't think there's any question. He appeared to have, he had possession of the football. I don't think there's any doubt they're going to rule this a completed catch. I think what's really of concern here now is whether or not he was in the end zone. I don't know that you can see enough to turn it around. I'm not sure you can see enough to turn it around.
Greg Olsen is pleading his case.
Well, he got the call. He got the call from the official that was on the goal line. Do you think Bill Carollo sees enough to overturn it?
No.
Nor do I.
If it stands, that's Olsen's 3rd touchdown catch of the season.
Well, that was a big drive in the waning seconds of the first half by the Bears. Now, keep in mind, if he does reverse it, they'll spot that ball at about the 6-inch line, and Chicago will have one timeout left to try to stuff it in.
And 18 seconds on the clock.
If they don't give him the catch, it's got to be at least a foot or closer. If they don't give him the touchdown, rather. He's got firm possession of the football, but he's down right there. But from that angle, you can't determine where the ball is, but you can see that he's extended it from his body. You could see that he didn't start that extension after he was down. He was already extending with that arm when he came down in the field of play.
Well, Bill Carollo has made his decision.
Yeah, I couldn't overturn it.
After reviewing the play, it's been determined the receiver caught the ball, and as he turned upfield, his second act, he broke the plane with the ball. Therefore, by rule, it's a touchdown.
Well, Bill Carollo saw it as we saw it.
So Greg Olson's catch caps a 73-yard drive that covered 59 seconds. And the Bears are going to go into the locker room on a roll. 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals in 4 trips into the red zone. Gold for the extra point. It's good. 18 seconds to play. 20-3 Bears.
Well, one more time, the classic seam pattern. The tight end beyond the linebacker. The defensive back not able to make the play. Reggie Nelson just unable to prevent that completion. And Greg Olson, with a great piece of awareness, extends his right hand and breaks the plane with the football on his way down.
And that's twice today now that Kyle Orton has hit a tight end for a touchdown. First quarter, it was Desmond Clark. And here just before halftime, Olson.
And now, unfortunately for Jacksonville, you're looking at a scenario where they're going to have to make some plays with their passing game to get back into this thing, and as we all know, that's not their strong suit.
An ineffective passing game so far. Garrard 3 out of 10 for 24 yards and an interception, and a quarterback rating on the day of 0.0.
Ineffective is a very kind use of the language on your part.
Goal to kick it away. Witherspoon is deep. And Witherspoon from his own 10 to the 30. Across the 40, and a fine return by Brian Witherspoon with 9 seconds to play here in the first half. Mini party.
I love you, you love me. A lot of fun when you got the lead. You work on that. And of course, Kyle Orton loves his tight ends, and they love him back.
Now keep in mind, Chicago will get the kick to start the second half. Garrard to Jones-Drew. Midfield, 45. And there's 1 second showing on the clock.
Well, they were wise to stop the clock. Go ahead and throw one down there and see if you can't get a penalty or a lucky completion.
Just a reminder, right around the corner, the Sprint halftime report is next with JB, Shannon, Boomer, Coach Cowher, scores and highlights as we enter the home stretch of this NFL season. Most coaches, and Lovie Smith is one of them, says you divide up the game into 4 quarters, and we're just starting the 4th and final quarter.
And the Bears would be pleased to know that both Minnesota and Green Bay are losing at halftime in their games today. Well, the Bears will not be crowding the line of scrimmage here. They have 3 players.
Brian Urlacher
40 yards deep.
Brian Urlacher is playing deep center field inside his own 5-yard line. Garrard stepping up, running out of time, and throws it deep. And at the goal line, it falls incomplete. We've come to the end of the first half with our score, 20-3 Bears. Sprint halftime report after this message and a word from your local station.
And a lot of power.
Welcome back to Soldier Field, everyone. There is our halftime score. Chicago leading Jacksonville by a score of 20-3, and as you would expect, the halftime numbers, all of them favoring the Chicago Bears, who have had the advantage in about every category you can imagine. Welcome back, Greg Gumbel, along with Dan Deerdorf. Dan, Jack Del Rio told us last night that what he would like to see his guys do is drag someone with him out of the playoffs if they're not going to make it. It doesn't appear that that's been enough motivation so far for Jacksonville. Jacksonville today.
Well, I see effort, but you're not seeing results. I think they're playing hard. The problem is that they're not running the ball effectively enough to stay in this football game, which means they're going to have to change strategies. I don't think they can. If they duplicate the first half, they're going to just get run out of the stadium. Somehow David Garrard is going to have to make some plays in the passing game, even when Chicago knows that it's coming. That's not easily done by Jacksonville. It's not their strong suit.
And the Jacksonville Jaguars will have to kick the ball off the Chicago Bears here in the second half, which comes your way in high definition. The Bears starting this day just one game back of Minnesota in the NFC North. Devin Hester is deep. I'm sorry, that's Daniel Manning. Manning picking it up inside his own 10-yard line. Dancing his way across the 20, the 30, the 40, up the sideline into Jacksonville territory. And this second half starts out very badly for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, there's a good reason why Lovie Smith has kept Daniel Manning being the kickoff return guy, because he's got some explosiveness to him. Even though he mishandles the ball at the beginning, he's got an instinctive feel for things. Boy, he really made a guy miss there, and then it's to the sidelines.
52 yards on the kickoff return, and the Bears set up shop first down at Jacksonville's 40-yard line. Third time today the Bears start in Jacksonville territory, and that's Matt Forte.
Well, who's been getting it done for the Bears? Let's check out who had a good first half. Kyle Orton, very effective. Not a great, unbelievable percentage, 13 of 21, but anytime you've got 2 touchdowns and no interceptions, that's really good. Matt Forte has been grinding it away. And he's been effective in the passing game as well, even with the 1 drop. And, of course, the big play to finish out the half, the touchdown to Olsen.
This is Forte, who is stoned at the 35-yard line, and it'll be 3rd and about 5.
Well, things really worked out for Chicago. They won the opening toss, elected to defer. Jacksonville took the ball. Jacksonville turned it over on their first series. That resulted in a Chicago touchdown, which means Chicago gets the ball to start the second half, and they get the big kick return by Daniel Manning. I'd say that worked out very well, that decision to defer.
So far, so good. 3rd and 5 now for Orton. Quick drop, throwing to the sideline. That's complete.
But
and
short.
Booker is out of bounds, short of the first down.
Marty Booker broke that pattern off a good yard short.
And Lovie Smith is not sending the field goal unit onto the field.
That was really good work by Drayton Florence, number 21, who just would not allow Marty Booker to get any more than that. And Booker pulled up on the far side once he was out of bounds, and he looks like he's got something wrong physically. He's making his way to the Chicago bench.
4th and 1. Forte and Jason Davis in the backfield. Short yardage was a problem at times for the Bears against Minnesota. This one appears to be enough for the first down.
On second effort,
both sides say they won the fight at the goal line, but let's see where the officials spot the ball.
well, they've brought the ball back. He's not quite at the 30-yard line. It's a couple inches short of the 30. This is going to be razor close.
And it would be a major boost for the Jacksonville Jaguars here early in the second half.
I don't think this is either going to be made or short by more than an inch or 2.
Oof. First down.
And when you're 4-8, that's the way it goes.
Chicago with its 13th first down of the game.
I think that look on Jack Del Rio's face pretty much sums it up. Breaks don't often come your way when you've got twice as many losses as wins.
So first down at the 30-yard line now. Play fake to Forte. Orton throwing. Intercepted. Inside the 15-yard line by Sensabaugh. And Sensabaugh, with his 4th interception of the season, cuts off a Chicago drive.
I'm not sure if Orton was expecting Devin Hester to break off his pattern and run a little shorter, but he way underthrew where Hester was downfield.
Orton has developed a recent case of interceptionitis.
Well, and there's no doubt that was his fault. He's pretty much telling everybody that on the sideline. He needed a little more air under that, actually a lot more air under that football.
On first down, Garrard going to throw. Has it batted at the line. Second time that's happened today.
Kyle Orton on that interception had Devin Hester, and he had Hester very open. The play action to Forte, boy, he gets a great look downfield, and you'll see Devin Hester right there at the bottom of the screen, wide open. He needed to float that ball over Gerald Sensabaugh, and instead he hits him right in the face mask, and on the carom, Sensabaugh holds on to it. I'm not sure that's the way they teach it, to let the ball bounce off your face mask into your arms.
Meanwhile, Israel Adonijah got his hand on a ball at the line of scrimmage for the second time today. 2nd and 10. Garrard under pressure and goes down, and that's Adonijah.
Well, how's that for back-to-back plays for a defensive lineman? Gee whiz, you get the knockdown the first time, and then this time just great grinding pressure up the middle. That is really good work. Pushed Waneri right back into the quarterback, fought through, and got the sack. What's Adonijah going to do on 3rd down? 2 tough acts to follow.
3rd and 15. Looking, throws, and that's going nowhere. That's incomplete. Dennis Northcutt had it, dropped it, ruled incomplete, and Jacksonville will punt.
Boy, and the Jacksonville offense is just being completely throttled by the Bears.
And, you know, we talked with Jack Del Rio about it, Dan, and very few teams have undergone the kind of damage to their offensive line that Jacksonville has this year. And Del Rio won't put the blame on the injuries, because it happens to everyone, but still, that's a tough nut to crack.
No, a coach can't do it. A coach cannot talk about injuries. You just got to go with what you've got. It's our job to talk about it, and it's very real.
Devin Hester. Fair catch. Dropped it. Picked it up.
Well, that's the 2nd time that Hester has muffed a punt, and both times he got a very fortuitous hop right back into his hands.
11:37 to play, 3rd quarter.
Garmin. Give a Garmin GPS this holiday season. And by Miller Lite. Reach for the original. Miller Lite. Great taste, less filling. Now that's a great thought.
Bopping away in the seats at Soldier Field. 11:37 to play in the 3rd quarter. Bears with the ball in a 23 lead, starting at their own 33-yard line. And this is Forte. Just across the 35 to the 36. James Brown back in the studios for an update of utmost importance to Chicago fans.
Greg and Dan, after a Chester-Taylor 17-yard touchdown run, 3 plays later, Dante Culpepper up top 70 yards to Calvin Johnson. Lions retake the lead 13-10. Let's take it back to Greg Gumbel and Dan Deerdorf.
Thank you, JB. And Chicago playing catch-up in the NFC North, a game behind the Minnesota Vikings. Here's Forte. Forte hit at the line of scrimmage, might have gotten a yard out of it. Paul Spicer made first contact.
You know, Paul Spicer is just one of those, not very glamorous, just a grinder of a defensive lineman that every team in the league would love to have 2 or 3 guys just like him. Not real flashy, a born leader, a model citizen, and a guy that you just like to have guys like that sprinkled all over your roster.
Hey, 52's the mic. 52.
3rd and 6. Going to throw it right through the hands of Devin Hester, and it'll be 4th down.
Well, Hester is having some problems with the mitts today. As we just talked about, he's muffed 2 punts, and then that one goes right through his hands.
It didn't escape me, Dan, that you talked about Paul Spicer as a model citizen, because over the last 2 weeks, we've had ample examples of, you know, we love sports, but there are a number of athletes who can be dumber than your average caveman from time to time.
Well, you're right, and the shame of it is it overshadows how many really smart, intelligent, good citizens there are playing professional sports.
This is Brian Witherspoon back at his 13-yard line. Can't avoid the first tackler, and that's Trumaine McBride with the special teams play. And once again, David Garrard and Jacksonville will start deep.
Our possessions today. Look at the plays run there on the left, with the exception of that 12-play drive. 3-3, 3-3, 5-2-3. That's a disastrous offensive day.
Flips it out. That's complete to Reggie Williams, and Williams wrapped up at about the 20-yard line by Nick Roach out of nearby Northwestern University.
Yeah, he didn't have to matriculate too far to play in the National Football League. Short trip down Sheridan Road from Evanston.
David Garrard is not going to point to his passer rating with pride the way he does to his attire.
Well,
he is a nattily dressed young man.
Oh, he is that, but this isn't GQ. This is the NFL.
2nd and 6. This is Maurice Jones-Drew across the 20 to the 21. This is how David Garrard arrived here at Soldier Field today. right off the covers of Men's Vogue.
Oh, he is a great dresser, and he's a fine young man. I mean, you sit and talk to David Garrard, there are no excuses. There's no tall tales. It's somebody else's fault. He is an upfront guy, and he's got a lot of leadership qualities, I think, that his teammates like about him. But this offense is in dire need of some help.
3rd and 4. Jacksonville not very good on 3rd down today. On the slant, that's complete for a 1st down across the 30 and close to the 35. That's Matt Jones. First time we've called his name today.
And when you consider that he is Jacksonville's leading receiver coming into the game with 62 receptions.
There's another slip by a defender, Charles Tillman.
Yeah, Tillman went down as he went to plant to cover the slant. He fell flat on his face.
Dan, I'd go down to the field for an interview, but I'm afraid I might slip and fall.
Hey, it's a little treacherous. Now, it's obviously very cold outside, but this field has been an issue for quite a while.
So on 1st down, Garrard with time, and it's batted again at the line of scrimmage. I think Mark Anderson might have got a hand on that. Update time to James Brown in New York, JB.
Greg and Dan, you know Tennessee can clinch the South with a win. They're looking good right now. Kerry Collins play action, hooking up with Justin Gage at the back of the end zone. A 9-yard strike, 21-6 Titans. Hey, Greg, there's a list of things that Crew says you don't like a plate of eggs. Back to Greg Gumbel and Dan Deerdorf.
Oh, Greg, it's piling on time, huh?
You know. No, not even a plate, just one, JB, just one. 2nd and 10. This is Jones-Drew, and Jones-Drew still on his feet, across the 40 and out of bounds close to a 1st down.
Somebody forgot to tell Maurice Jones-Drew that his team's out of the playoffs and this doesn't matter to Jacksonville. What a great effort. By the way, that first tackle he ran through was Brian Urlacher. And Brian Urlacher, I'm sure right now, I cannot believe he got away from me. Again, Brian Urlacher was up high, which is, it's so easy to do against a guy who's only 5'7".
You're used to grabbing a guy around the shoulders and you get the top of MJD's helmet.
That's exactly what happened there.
Fred Taylor in the backfield now. First down, under 7.5 to play in the third quarter. Jacksonville trying to get something started. Garrard with time, throwing. That's complete. And out of bounds at the 30-yard line is Mercedes Lewis, the tight end.
And that was a beautiful throw by David Garrard. That deep out pattern like that, he put it right onto the hands of his tight end. You can see he got a clean release there on the left side of your screen. You saw Lewis, but look at that touch on that deep out pattern, floating it right over Roach and right in front of the defensive back.
27-yard pickup on the play. First down, Jacksonville, now at the Chicago 29.
Big time throw by David Garrard.
To the ground game. Fred Taylor up the middle. Inside the 25 to about the 21. I was telling earlier, Dan, about the size of these tight ends that Jack Del Rio has. Mercedes Lewis, Greg Estandia, Richard Angulo, and George Reister. 275, 265, 266, 265.
Well, Lewis is 6'6". Estandia and Angulo are 6'8". George Reister, the runt of the litter, at 6'3".
That's Reister. On second down now, once again, Fred Taylor. And Taylor, maybe a yard on the play, close to the 20-yard line. We'll give him a yard and say it's 3rd and 1.
Well, keep in mind, for those of you that weren't with us at the beginning, Fred Taylor climbing the charts with the great NFL running backs of all time today. Passed Corey Dillon and O.J. Simpson on the career list to move his way up to the 16th spot. Next in line for him is John Riggins, about 100 yards or so ahead of him.
Maurice Jones-Drew in the lineup now on 3rd and 1. Bears crowding the line. The give is to Jones-Drew, and he's not getting it.
Wow, I thought the Bears were dangerously close to going offside.
So did David Garrard.
Oh, and Jack Del Rio went way out onto the field. Boy, it looked like Lance Briggs was across the football when it got snapped, and Jack Del Rio, he almost popped the blood vessel over on the sideline. He's still going after it.
So now they're going to go for it on 4th and 2. Jacksonville. Most attempts on 4th down in the NFL. Garrard going to throw for it. That is caught. Just was incomplete.
Now, Owens didn't get possession of the football until he was out of bounds. Man, David Garrard put it right on his hands. Bobbled it once, bobbled it twice. Still hasn't firmly put the ball away. That's a good job of officiating. He never had possession in the field of play.
Montel Owens at the fullback position today because Greg Jones is inactive and number 24 couldn't hold on. Jacksonville fails to get the first down.
MasterCard. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. And by Sprint. Get NFL Mobile Live only from Sprint, only on the Now Network.
Well, Jack Del Rio has thrown the challenge flag, which in our opinion is a big mistake, Dan, because this is one he's not going to win.
No, I don't think so either, Greg. But Bill Carollo obligated to go underneath. Keep in mind now, as you head out of bounds, you have to have firm and complete control of the football, even when you hit the ground. Yes, he's got the ball there with 2 feet in bounds, but right here, as he hits the ground, he does not have control of the football. 1 bobble, 2 bobbles. Now, right here is what makes it interesting, is that he does have the football, and he does have both feet down. But still, when you hit the ground, you've got to demonstrate total and complete possession of the football. And I don't think Owens did.
The ball skidding along the turf does not count for complete and total possession.
It can touch the ground, Greg, if you have complete control of it, but I don't think there's any way you can look at that and say that he did.
And what Jack Del Rio is doing here is trying to salvage a drive that has taken the Jaguars inside the Chicago 25.
Now, Owens Owens does do enough to cause this to really be interesting, but right there, I don't think he's got control of the football. And keep in mind, this was ruled on the field an incompletion. So Bill Carollo's got to see conclusive evidence to overturn it.
As we felt obliged to do, we asked Jack Del Rio what he thought about his job security, and he says he feels good about what he does, and everybody understands what's happened to the Jacksonville Jaguars this season.
I asked him specifically if Wayne Weaver, the owner of the Jags, had his back, and Jack said absolutely. And Wayne Weaver is one of the really good guys in the National Football League ownership group. He is really a good man.
We have 4:50 to play here in the third quarter. The Jacksonville Jaguars finally manage a decent drive, 64 yards, their best of the day. And Del Rio trying to keep it alive here. Here's Bill Carollo.
After reviewing the play stands as called an incomplete pass. The receiver did not maintain control all the way to the ground. The ball goes over and down.
The Jacksonville Jaguars a timeout. And the ball goes over to the Bears at their own 21-yard line.
Given the circumstances and the stage of the game, though, you can certainly understand why Jack Del Rio went ahead and challenged to play.
A lot of paperwork.
So Kyle Orton in the offense. Back to work now.
Here's where Chicago would like to take a little air out of the ball and run off some clock.
Forte, left side. Buried by Big John Henderson, the two-time Pro Bowler.
Well, there's been a few mishandles today in this game. Right there, Olsen couldn't handle one. Another one, Forte dropped one. Maurice Jones-Drew couldn't hold on. Rasheed Davis drops one. Devin Hester. And that was the last one there by Owens. We have seen more than our fair share. Keep in mind, though, the temperature out there is just in the teens. We got some cold fingers on the ends of these hands.
You almost dropped a sandwich up here. 2nd and 12.
Never do that.
Orton throwing, and a nice defensive play made by Justin Durant on the far side of the field.
There's Greg Olsen again, just running a shallow crossing pattern, and that ball was back behind him. Durant did make a good play on the ball. Well, it wasn't as far back as I thought. I take it back. That wasn't a catchable position. Credit Justin Durant for making an awfully good play. At first blush, I thought that was a little bit behind the tight end. It really wasn't.
Here's Forte. Oh, the knees hit. Still on his feet, however, and now forward to the 22-yard lines. The Bears, with 4 minutes to play here in the third quarter, have less than 15 total yards in this third quarter.
Justin Durant was the guy that made the stick on that play right there, so that was a big series for the Jacksonville linebacker.
Deep for Jacksonville, Brian Witherspoon. Line drive kick. And going to bounce out of bounds. And stop the clock with 3:24 to play in the third, and the Bears enjoying a 20-3 lead. And William Peterson together for the first time on TV's #1 show. Missing it would be a crime. A new CSI Thursday here on CBS, America's most watched network. So Jacksonville trying to get it started again, this time from their own 33. Choose to do it through the air. Garrard throwing up the seam, and a little bit behind Matt Jones, the intended receiver. Charles Tillman was there.
Well, good work by Tillman, working his way into the frontal position of a really big receiver in Matt Jones, who's 6'6". Matt Jones, that was kind of what you'd call a shallow post, or a skinny post. He broke it off, not a full 45-degree angle into the inside. playing Jacksonville offensively. If you're looking for an upgrade to your defense, this is a good team to play. They just haven't been scoring many points.
This is Taylor. Taylor spinning across the 35 to about the 37. Chicago looking to advance on the Minnesota Vikings, who are losing today, Dan, so far.
Yeah, they are. Detroit is winning. Green Bay moved back into the lead, but again, you see there's Chicago in that group that's in the hunt. You got to figure that it's going to take 10 wins to get into the playoffs as a wild card, and that's no guarantee. You can be 10-6 and not make it. Some of the tiebreakers don't go your way. You could be on the outside looking in.
Garrard now looking at a 3rd and 7. And going to take it off and try to run for it and come up about a yard or two short.
Oh, good job there by Ogunleye of getting over there and really covering a lot of ground.
Also had help from Urlacher and Lance Briggs on a noisy little play.
Ogunleye actually had coverage. He broke off from his defensive end position, had coverage, and then fell back in to help make the tackle. That's asking a lot of a defensive end, and he came through.
For the 5th time today, Jacksonville's offense goes 3 and out, and Devin Hester is deep for the punt.
Remember, Hester has muffed 2 punts already.
You get a whistle.
That's a false start by Jacksonville.
Delay, offense, 5-yard penalty.
Well, they don't even get the play off in time to get the penalty.
So the ball backs up now to the 36-yard line. Instead of 4th and 1, it's 4th and 6.
And Devin Hester, who's dropped a pass or two and mishandled a couple punts right now, has got to be saying, look this in. I'm not sure if anything else, handle this ball cleanly.
Steve Weatherford's 6th punt today. And Hester not going to get a chance to return this one as it sails out of bounds. And the spot is going to come at right about the 23-yard line. Some numbers around the league today.
Let's do a little fantasy update. Peyton Manning, oh geez, who would ever imagine? 3 touchdowns without an interception. Phillip Rivers has the same thing going on for the Chargers. Drew Brees continues to put up a lot of yardage. Steve Slayton, what kind of a rookie year is he having for the Texans as he goes over the century mark? And a lot of big yardage numbers being put up. White, Jackson, and Walter all over the century mark. Walter doing it with only 4 catches.
Meanwhile, the Bears trying to get something started here in the 3rd quarter, in which they've managed a total of 14 yards. They'll add to it a little here at about 28-yard line. Desmond Clark on the receiving end with 1.5 minutes to play in the 3rd.
Well, 3 consecutive runs didn't get them a first down on their last possession, and I think right now Ron Turner's realizing, hey, I've got to get a little more aggressive in calling some plays and give these guys some help by throwing it on first down. That was a high percentage throw, nothing fancy about that. If Jacksonville is going to overplay the run, you gotta put it in the air a little.
Now on 2nd and 4, he's going to throw it again. And Hester had to reach back and up and couldn't get hold of it. It'll be 3rd and 4. We took a look at the NFC playoff picture. Let's now look at the AFC, where Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Jets, and Denver, all division leaders. And you and I were talking on the way into the stadium today, Dan. Indy and Pittsburgh, 2 teams that appear to be coming together at just the right time of year.
And that's nothing new for those 2 franchises. They know the first 3 quarters of the season just sets up your run down the stretch. They're 2 clubs, confidence not an issue.
3rd and 4. Had to get rid of it in a hurry. He was under the gun and he throws it away. And for the third straight time, the Bears go 3 and out on offense. That was Quentin Groves, the rookie out of Auburn University, in on Orton.
Well, I don't know if there was a mix-up on the snap count, but Groves was around the corner before John St. Clair hardly even got out of his stance. I don't know. Olin Kreutz is talking to Kyle Orton about there was some sort of a misfire on the snap of the ball there with Chicago.
So on 4th down now. Line drive kick. Witherspoon muffed it, picked it up, goes down again at the 23-yard line.
Let's go back and look at that 3rd down play. Olin Kreutz snapped the ball early. He snapped that football, and every one of his offensive linemen stays down in their stance. Look at that. You've got no chance whatsoever as the quarterback, especially as an offensive tackle. Your guy, he's moving on the football.
Olin probably thought it was a good idea at the time.
Somebody said something funny, but that was a good way to get your quarterback. That's a good way to get him hit and hit hard.
So here's Jacksonville again trying to get something started. 1st down at their own 24-yard line. Garrard rolling, throws, and that is complete across the 35 to Reggie Williams. We're in the final half minute of the 3rd quarter.
David Garrard has to do just that. He has got to force the football down the field. I know it's not what this offense does best, but down 20-3, this is no longer about what you do best. It's trying to claw your way back into a football game. Taking chances, going against the grain, it's all you've got.
He has 5 seconds to get this play off before the end of the quarter. And he will get it off. Garrard looking, throws. Maurice Jones-Drew slipping down on the turf, lost the football. And it looks like Jacksonville covers it as the 3rd quarter comes to an end. More loose footing, and Jones-Drew lost the ball. Brad Meester covered it. We've come to the end of the 3 with our score. 20-3 Jacksonville. David Garrard under the gun. He'll have to do something in the 4th. We'll come back to Soldier Field after this message. Jones-Drew on the sideline, a little groggy after that last play as we start the 4th quarter, and Jacksonville with a 2nd and 8. Fred Taylor replaces him on the field. Garrard up the middle, incomplete. Mercedes Lewis, the tight end. Let's go back to Maurice Jones-Drew.
Well, we're going to see very clearly why he's a little groggy. Watch from the right of your screen. Israel Adonijah right there comes in, and his helmet hits Maurice Jones-Drew right in the ear hole of his. Yep, right in the ear hole of his helmet. But he is up and trying to walk it off.
And now, David Garrard, his biggest challenge today, 3rd down. 3 of 12 on 3rd down for the Jaguars today, and he needs the 46-yard line for a 1st down. Throwing this side, and that's complete to Matt Jones for a 1st down.
Well, Matt Jones found a lot of room that time in front of Charles Tillman. And again, Matt Jones, who was very quiet in the 1st half, not a lot going on. Nice tight spiral from David Garrard, and Jones, who's not really, Matt Jones isn't a threat to run by you very much. He's not a real speedy guy, but boy, he demonstrated enough there to turn the shoulders of Charles Tillman. He thought he was going deep.
So Garrard converts a 1st down here. 1st down now at the 49 of the Chicago Bears for Jacksonville. This is Taylor, and Taylor with a little running room. And Taylor inside the 40. That's another 1st down for the Jaguars.
And again, I know it's a 20-3 ball game, but if Jacksonville could somehow finish off this drive and make it a 10-point football game, all of a sudden it starts to get a little interesting.
How about finish off a drive?
Well, and needless to say, they need to finish off this one, but at least they're showing some signs of life offensively, something we haven't seen at all here in half number 2.
have not managed a trip to the red zone today. Garrard, pump fake, throwing up the sideline and overthrew Jones.
This is tough against this cover 2 of the Chicago Bears to hit a deep throw like that down the sideline. If you do not have blazing speed over there, the safety's going to have time to get over there and make the play, and that's exactly what Kevin Payne did there. You've got to do the bulk of your work in front of these deep safeties, in front of them. It's going to be very hard to get past, especially when you don't have a world-class sprinter at a wide receiver.
Garrard with the play clock down to 2, gets the snap, fakes the handoff, throws over the middle, and that's caught inside the 15 to the 10. Jerry Porter for a first down.
And a rare big play by Jerry Porter. That's Porter split to the top of your screen. He's just going to break off a post pattern to the inside. And Corey Graham, the corner, not able to defend the inside play, and the safety, Mike Brown, in this particular instance, a little late getting over there to defend that route.
You know, Jack Del Rio told us that Jerry Porter, who walked into the Jacksonville camp in March, not the guy that we have now.
Well, he tore his hamstring. He had to have surgery, and he's still not all the way back.
Maurice Jones-Drew in the backfield. First down just outside the 10-yard line. MJD with the handoff to the 5.
And good to see Jones-Drew back on the field after taking that hit to the helmet that sent him to the sideline and sent the training staff over to see how he was doing.
You know, we asked David Garrard about throwing to Jerry Porter. He says he hasn't had a chance to get enough work, and he'd much prefer to throw to Matt Jones, with whom he's more familiar, than to try to force it into Jerry Porter.
Well, Porter got hurt after the OTAs and all the mini camps and everything, but before training camp, so he missed everything during training camp.
2nd and 4. Garrard going to throw for it. Jones-Drew to the 5. Touchdown. Maurice Jones-Drew, his first receiving touchdown of the season.
And Lance Briggs just couldn't get over there and couldn't get in position to keep Jones-Drew from turning upfield. David Garrard plants the ball right onto the hands of Maurice Jones-Drew, where he's able to take it while he's still looking upfield. Man, this guy is a football player. I don't care about how tall, how short, how much he weighs. Some people are just football players, and Maurice Jones-Drew fits that bill.
He adds a TD catch to his 11 rushing touchdowns of the season. And as we've been saying, it was time for Jacksonville to put a cap on a drive for the first time today, and they've done just that. 12:09 to play in the 4th quarter. Jack Del Rio says there's one back. He's still down 10, 20-10, Chicago. On the left, Maurice Jones-Drew on the right, 76 yards in 3.5 minutes. After a scoreless 3rd quarter, Jacksonville gets on the board and cuts the Bears' lead to 10 with 12:09 to play here in the 4th.
If that's not a pinpoint pass from Garrard, Jones-Drew doesn't end up with a touchdown. A collaborative effort.
Now Daniel Manning on the run from his own 9 to the 20. And tripped up as he crossed the 25 and out to about the 29-yard line by Greg Estandia. Jack Del Rio's defense needs to stand here.
On CBS is sponsored by the Home Depot, the official home improvement sponsor of the NFL. In high definition by Sony. High definition, it's in Sony's DNA. And by the all-new 09 F-150. It's not just a new truck, it's a new F-150.
Welcome back to Soldier Field in Chicago. 12:02 to play here in the 4th quarter, and the Bears have come to a screeching halt here in the 2nd half. They have a grand total of 20 yards on offense. As they start now, and they're on 28. Quick pass on the slant. That's complete for a first down across the 40 to Marty Booker.
They've just got to become a little more aggressive offensively. And I think that touchdown by Jacksonville might have awakened the Bears a little bit. We've got somebody hurt.
That's Booker.
Just the quick slant, and he gets hit immediately with the ball. Because he had a couple guys fall on top of him. It looks like his legs are okay.
Meanwhile, here's an update from JB in New York. James.
All right, Greg and Dan, I tell you what, the Lions are really battling the Vikings, but Tavares Jackson, play action here, hooking up with Vincente Shanko, an 11-yard strike to make it 17-13, but the Lions come back with a field goal. It's now a one-point game, 5:09 left in regulation. Back to Greg Gumbel, Dan Deerdorf.
Those Detroit Lions refuse to go quietly into the night,
which they've been doing a lot. Marty Booker very gingerly walking off the field.
And he's been hobbled lately.
Well, he's had a knee problem that's really been holding him back. Of course, he re-signed with Chicago from Miami, where he's been for a couple of years.
Marty Booker in his 10th season out of Louisiana Monroe. So he makes his way to the sideline. Line of scrimmage, the 41. First down for the Bears. On first down now, and this is Forte. Little change of direction and across the 45 to the 46. How about the Green Bay Packers in the NFC North, JB?
Hey, Houston looking for its 6th victory of the season, Greg. They cap an 8-play, 63-yard drive when Matt Schaub throwing across his body to Andre Johnson, 11-yard strike, 21-14 Houston, 6:12 left in regulation. Greg and Dan.
JB, thanks. Andre Johnson, as good as any receiver in the National Football League.
No doubt.
2nd and 5.
Might be the best receiver right now in the National Football League.
Orton going to go far sideline. It is caught. Devin Hester on the run.
Well, you just can't throw a better pass than Kyle Orton threw right there. You cannot drop it in any better than this if you just went out there and handed it to Devin Hester. Look how beautifully that ball dropped right into his hands. And he was pretty well covered.
4 catches for 82 yards now for Hester.
Brian Williams was there, but that was just perfect.
On first down, quick pass, near side, Forte inside the 20 to the 18. And Sensabaugh making the stop.
Well, look how much more aggressive Ron Turner's being right now in his play calling. That touchdown by Jacksonville seemed to awaken everyone offensively for Chicago. They slept all the way through the third quarter and the first part of the fourth, and they appear to have awakened right now. Lovey's group has been, they were sleepwalking.
Did you say they slept all the way through?
I could have. that fits.
2nd and 4. Forte. To about the 16. We come up on 9.5 to play in the fourth quarter.
Well, Matt Forte, he is a worker bee, isn't he? This kid is a rookie, but the Chicago Bears, they rely on him so much. He is a factor in the Rookie of the Year voting this year, when this might be one of the best years ever, when you got guys like Matt Ryan and Joe Flacco, and you got rookies all around the league.
That one's patted down at the line of scrimmage. He accounts for so much of the Chicago offense. 35.7 to be exact.
And those are rookies in the Super Bowl era. Marshall Faulk. Of course, I'm not sure when you look at that group right there, there's ever been a guy as talented of a running back and as a receiver throughout his entire career as Marshall Faulk.
Agreed.
That guy was as good at the wideout position as he is behind the quarterback.
Robbie Gould, 2 out of 2. this one from 35 yards out on its way and good. 8:58 to play in the fourth. 23-10 Chicago. .58 to play in the fourth. You go, girls.
You do anything during a timeout to stay warm.
much the way Dan and I have been acting up here in the booth.
Only we're not as cute as they are, but the home team's winning. Have some fun.
This is Brian Witherspoon from the 4. Jaguars could use a good return. And they get one here as he works his way out across the 30. Boogie time in Chicago. We'll be back in just a moment.
CBS is sponsored by Circuit City. We'll hook you up with our one price promise. Weber Store, same low price. And by FedEx, your ultimate NFL air and ground player.
Welcome back to the Windy City, which hasn't been all that windy, he says, tempting fate. 8:51 to play in the fourth quarter. The Jaguars, David Garrard, and the whistle blows, and Khalif Barnes may have moved early.
False start, number 69, offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Hey, Thursday on Survivor, the competition intensifies, setting the stage for the season finale next Sunday here on CBS, America's most watched network. So it's 1st and 15 for the Jaguars. To Fred Taylor. And Taylor pushes his way back to the original line of scrimmage where Lance Briggs and Charles Tillman drag him down. Pickup of 6. We'll call it 2nd and 9.
Good job by David Garrard of trying to stay alive and working his way through his progressions to finally find Fred Taylor, but no margin for error left for Jacksonville. They got to make something happen.
Garrard sets up the screen, overthrows it, and is almost intercepted.
Oh, that rolled right through the hands of Marcus Harrison.
To New York and JB.
Greg and Dan, Packers trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. Battling back, Aaron Rodgers out of the shotgun. Hooking up with Jordy Nelson, a 9-yard strike, 7 plays, 51 yards. All 21 Packer points off of turnovers. 3:45 left in regulation. Greg and Dan.
JB, why does it look warmer in Green Bay than it does here?
I don't think it is. I think it's actually colder there.
3rd and 9. Garrard going down. Ogunleye Idanije.
They both got there about the same time. Again, let's watch the pressure. They're both working on the left side. Ogunleye does a good job fighting up the middle. Idanije coming in from outside forces Garrard to step up and right into the arms of Adewale Ogunleye. But that was Adonije's pressure around the corner as they ran a line stunt. The old ET, end in first, tackle loop around.
And now Devin Hester back at his own 35. Taking a Jacksonville bounce, Hester chooses to let it roll, and it rolls to the 32-yard line. We remind you, coming up, the Subway postgame show. James Brown, Shannon Sharp, Boomer Esiason, and Coach Bill Cowher. All the latest NFL scores and highlights. And I am sure, playoff picture, all coming up on the Subway postgame show.
And again, Dan Marino will be missing, as his father passed away yesterday. And again, on behalf of all of us here at CBS, we're a family, and we mourn with you, Dan.
Dan Marino, Sr., one of the nicest people we could ever meet. First down. Quick pass out to the far side. That's complete to Rasheed Davis. And Davis out of bounds at about the 40-yard line, or just short of the 40. pickup of 8, it'll be 2nd and 2.
And again, Ron Turner staying aggressive. It paid off for them last drive as they were able to work their way down in and get a field goal out of it. One thing about Jacksonville, Jack Del Rio had to defend his team from their effort last week about whether or not there was some quit in his football team. And I'll tell you, so far in this game, I haven't seen any. Have you, Greg?
No. Forte comes up short. In fact, Del Rio has had a lot to contend with this season, from the injuries to the Mike Peterson incident. We asked him about that. In fact, I asked him straight out if Mike Peterson has a future with Jacksonville, with Jack Del Rio, the head coach, and he said absolutely. They've put that whole thing behind him. Mike Peterson apologized to the coach for the disruption that he caused and apologized to the team.
But I think right now down by 13 points isn't where they wanted to be, but Jack Del Rio, I don't think, certainly can look at his team and say the effort hasn't been there. Maybe the results haven't, but the effort has.
Kyle Orton calls a timeout. That's Chicago's first timeout here in the second half. And boy, look at the injuries, and you know, Dan, better than most, you just can't take those kinds of hits to the offensive line and expect the same production.
Well, keep in mind that Richard Collier at the top of the list was shot the Monday before the opener. Vince Manawai and Maurice Williams both lost in the opener. Then they lose Chris Naoli. Rasheed Mathis just happened last week. They lose their punter. How often do you lose a punter to IR? Of course, they lost Podlish. And then Brad Meester, the ringleader of their offensive line, because of a biceps injury, he was out the first 6 weeks of the season. So it's they got off to a disastrous start.
And David Garrard told us last night it's been tough. It's been frustrating.
Well, they've had trouble scoring points.
3rd and 2 now. Jacksonville needing a stop right here. Matt Forte in the backfield. And this is a quick pass out here to Devin Hester. And Hester is not going to get the first down. Thrown back by Darrell Smith.
Well, Kyle Orton sure gave the impression that he was going to great lengths to change that play. If he did, Jacksonville acted like they knew exactly what he was changing it to. They tried to run the bubble screen out there to Devin Hester, and the Jags all over.
And Jacksonville uses a timeout here to stop the clock with 6:02 to play.
So, Greg, we talked about Jacksonville's problems. You know, they've lost 5 of their last 6 games. Well, you know, in those 5 losses, they scored 17, 19, 14, 12, and 17 points. Not once in those 5 losses did they even score 20 points. Very hard to win in the National Football League with that kind of offensive lack of production.
Now they're looking for a good return from Brian Witherspoon. Brad Maynard gets the kick away. A good one. Fair catch called for and made by Witherspoon. 5:54 to play here in the 4th quarter, and the Bears looking to go above the 500 mark and go 7-6. Minnesota advancing to 8-5 with a win over a tough Detroit team today. And the New York Giants about to fall to 11-2. They're down 6 to the Philadelphia Eagles inside of a minute to play.
That would be a monster win for the Eagles to upset the Giants.
First down at the 19-yard line, and Garrard got a throw. Throwing incomplete. Reggie Williams. We are now told that the Philadelphia Eagles knocked off the Giants by a score of 20-14. So the Giants are 11-2 on the year.
Well, that was a nice play waiting to happen for Jacksonville. David Garrard put it right in there to Reggie Williams, and he just flat dropped the football.
Here comes the blitz. Garrard got it away and completes it to Mercedes Lewis. You know, to add to the Jacksonville woes, Dan, Jack Del Rio tells us they fully expect a decision on Matt Jones coming the first part of this week.
Well, Matt Jones missed practice earlier in the week because he had a hearing with Commissioner Goodell to try to ward off or at least deplete his case in a pending suspension. I would imagine that'll be announced on Tuesday or so.
Garrard has to throw it away.
Now with a fourth down situation, I don't know the Jags have any choice but to try to go for it.
Jones back on the field, as is Maurice Jones-Drew.
But you know, it's just a lot of little things, Greg. They really had a really well-designed first down play. Would have been good for about 20, 25 yards, but they have a drop.
4th and 4. Short drop on the slant. That's caught by Matt Jones on a first down.
Well, go to the big target when you need to convert. And that's go to the biggest target. And look how Matt Jones, with that big body, does a good job of shielding Corey Graham from the football. Corey Graham is almost helpless back behind Matt Jones at, 6'6", 220.
That's incomplete over the middle. Lewis, the intended receiver, and it's always, you talk about how they appear to be a step or two shy, and Jack Del Rio said lately it's always been those situations where we needed a play to spark us, and instead we got a play to deflate us.
And I think that's a tale of woe that most coaches of losing teams can talk about. It seems to be a pattern. It just shows the fine line between winning and losing in the National Football League. Sometimes it's razor thin.
Garrard sets up the screen to Jones-Drew, using his blocker out across the 40 to the 42 and just short of a first down.
A great job by Brad Meester, the center there. He got out and crunched one guy and then went upfield to find another.
We are under 4.5 minutes to play in regulation. 7 catches, 47 yards, and a touchdown for Maurice Jones-Drew. Add to his 55 yards rushing. 3rd and 1, and Garrard is going to sneak for the first down out to about the 45-yard line. And we have 4 minutes to play.
Get up to the line, get your play called. Let's get this show on the road here. You've got less than 4 minutes and you need 2 touchdowns.
Garrard steps up, throws, sideline, complete and out of bounds to Northcutt.
Boy, David Garrard has to be helped up off the field again. He is under some pressure here from the Bears. Although that was hardly a real hit from Alex Brown. Brown didn't know he'd gotten rid of the football and just kind of dragged him down. That was hardly a punishing blow.
On 2nd and 5, Garrard going down. Mark Anderson.
Well, Mark Anderson, everybody here in Chicago knows, had a tremendous rookie season with 12 sacks. And since then, it's been tough sledding. But that was a great spin move to break free and come right up into the chops of David Garrard.
3rd sack of the day of Garrard, and now on 3rd and 12, the pass over the middle to Mercedes Lewis, and it's going to be a 4th down and about 5 or 6. 4th and 6. And the fans who are left, who haven't made a break for the parking lot, are on their feet. Gerard throwing this side. That's complete, but it's going to be short of a first down to Mercedes Lewis.
Well, Lewis was fighting, stretching, doing everything he could do, but Charles Tillman and Mike Brown both there on the coverage, and they keep him from converting.
They needed 6 yards. They got 5. And that will pretty much put the cap on a victory which would give the Chicago Bears 700 in the history of this great franchise.
Well, you know, if this was Indianapolis down by 23-10, we'd say this game's not over yet. With what we've seen from Jacksonville offensively, you certainly have more of an inclination to say that.
And the gives to number 29, Adrian Peterson, still on his feet, and inside the 45 to the 4-yard line, Adrian Peterson, the brother of Jacksonville linebacker Mike Peterson.
And one of the most versatile players in the league to play for both the Vikings and the Bears at the same time, I think is a tremendous accomplishment.
How he do that, Dan?
There is one Adrian Peterson in Minnesota, and there is one here in Chicago. Both running backs. One of them is really, really good.
2 minutes to play here in Chicago. 23-10. Bears. Tomorrow here on CBS, America's Most Watched Network. Greg Gumbel, Dan Deerdorf, the rest of our CBS Sports crew. 2 minutes to play at Soldier Field in Chicago. The Bears on the verge of going 7-6 on the year and dropping the Jaguars to 4-9. And this is Peterson.
Houston ends up beating Green Bay. So another big win for the Texans. And Greg, it's always fun to come back to Chicago, Soldier Field. I played here in the college all-star game, if you can imagine that, all the way back in 1971. It's your hometown.
That was always a big deal, the college all-star football game.
Always a big deal. And then, of course, we get meatball subs and sausage and pepper subs from Benny at Valari at halftime. Does it get any better than that?
No.
180.
And Kyle Orton takes a knee as the Bears begin to run out this clock. The Monsters of the Midway on the verge of franchise victory number 700. And, you know, when you're looking at the history of a football team, they have as much of it as anybody and more than most.
Well, it's a 4-step process for the Bears to try to get into the playoffs, and that is to win out. They have accomplished step number 1. Next, it's New Orleans, Green Bay, and then the Houston Texans. So they're 25% of the way through the 4th quarter of this season.
Orton takes a knee once again, and that's going to do it. Lovie Smith says this is the 4th quarter for his team, and they started in the right direction with a 23-10 win over Jacksonville. Workmanlike, I think, is the best way you could describe this one.
A very, very good effort, sound football by the Bears. You know, Lovie will find plenty of things to coach, but a good win.
Our final score, Chicago 23, Jacksonville 10. Up next, the Subway postgame show. For Dan Deerdorf, Greg Gumbel, so long from Soldier Field. You've been watching the NFL on CBS.
Well, it looked like the Bears would win this one going away. Lovie's offense took the 3rd quarter off, woke up a bit in the 4th, and the Bears take care of the Jacksonville Jaguars 23-10 on the lakefront. They move to 7-6 on the year. Minnesota won at Detroit today, 20-16 the final. So the Vikings go to 8-5. Bears remain a game back of the division-leading Vikings as they become the first franchise in the National Football League to reach 700 wins. Thanks for flipping over to U.S. Cellular Bears postgame live I am Pat Boyle. Mike Sy with 3 former Bears. Mr. GQ, Jerry Azumar, our quarterback, Jim Miller, and our lead blocker, Dan Jiggets. Guys, the offense took the second half off for the most part, like they did against the Rams a few weeks back, but they got the job done.
Well, I guess because, it was Jacksonville that was out there on the field today. But this is something that's been a recurring theme with this team. And I tell you what, they were supposed to win today's game, okay? So we can get a little bit excited about it. As a matter of fact, I'll have a little bit of Bears Kool-Aid. A little too cold out there. They almost froze. But here's the deal. They still go through these periods where they almost give games away. And it's a very discomforting thing as you sit there and watch it.
Yeah, 4 trips to the red zone today, 3 field goals, just the 1 touchdown on the first drive. That's got to change against good teams.
Right, exactly.
And we'll see what happens here as we take a look at the final 3 games of the season, beginning with New Orleans on Thursday night. As always, we want to hear from you over the next 90 minutes. Send us your comments on today's victory over Jacksonville. You'll see some of them at the bottom of our sports ticker. Keep the comments short, keep them clean. You can email the show at csnchicago.com. Click on the Bears page or the PGL icon, or you can send us an email to bearspgl@comcastsportsnet.com. Coming up later on, Dan Jiggets will pick the best comment that you send us, so get creative. Winner will receive an autographed copy of his book, Then Ditka Said to Peyton, the best Chicago Bears stories ever told by Dan and the Tribune's Fred Mitchell. For details on the contest and submit your comment, please visit our new website, csnchicago.com. But let's get this party started, as we always do, with our opening kickoff, and we begin with you, Dan.
All right, my whole deal in this game, and I don't want to, bring everybody down after a nice win. It's wonderful and everything. Everybody, it's all good. But here's the thing. You want to see the Bears continue to keep the heat on. And that's something that bothers me about this football team, is that they don't come out and play a complete game where they just dominate a team like they should have dominated Jacksonville today. That bothers me because there's some good teams left on the schedule.
All right, what do you have for us, Jim?
Yeah, much like what Dan said, I think everybody should be happy. A good confidence booster when you look at beating the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think the secondary showed up today. Obviously, a lesser receiving core of the Jacksonville Jaguars, but now putting it together. Put it together for all 4 quarters. You got Brad Maynard banging it down inside the 5-yard line. Bears get it back. They can't go down and score twice. Think about that. Had the ball at the 50, only got 3 points in those situations.
Right. In the first half, they played well. They came out and they played football. They were executing their game plan. They got back to the basics, but too many drops again by the wide receivers. We don't like to see that, and they left a lot of great opportunities to put some major points on the football field and on that scoreboard.
I thought Kyle Orton looked the best he has since he had the high ankle sprain, as we take a look at his numbers from half to half. And the third quarter was absolutely atrocious. Just 20 yards of total offense from this team in the third quarter. But, Jerry, you mentioned it. Drop passes. We saw it from Hester. We saw it from Rashid Davis. Again. Greg Olsen. This has got to be rectified this offseason. They have to find a legit go-to man on the edges.
Well, absolutely. I think the problem with it, because it kind of, to me, it reflects on the offensive line, because if you look at those drops, they're all, I'm pretty sure, in third down situations that would have kept the chains moving for the Bears offense. So it reflects as a whole poorly on the whole offense. So you can see, again, the second week in a row, a concerted effort to get Devin Hester the ball. You saw a great play in the fourth quarter on the go route, so you see it starting to happen, but other guys have to step up. If Marty Booker is going to continue to get dinged up, whether it's Olsen, whether it's Clark, because I'm not counting on the other guys to get it done. I think it's Hester, those tight ends, and Forte. That trio has to make it happen.
If the way Marty Booker left the Soldier Field turf is any indication this afternoon, his season may be over.
Well, you got to. I think at any rate you have to start thinking about what Bennett can do and what Rideau can do. Those guys are coming off the bench because they're bigger wide receivers and physical guys. So it's about time to see what those kids can do as well, because again, look, it's a great win today. Don't get me wrong. They had to win it, and they did. But there's some things that you have to start looking at to say, well, okay, how do we make sure we improve against a really fine football team when they come in here?
It seemed like another one of those typical Matt Forte performances, doesn't quite reach 100 yards on the ground, but very effective. Here he is in the first half to the second half, and had 52 yards in the first half when the offense was moving. They were working it to different receivers, using the tight end, exploiting the Jags' issues at linebacker. Second half, though, much different story for him. Surprising sometimes, like that one series in the third quarter where they pass.
Well, see, and that's another thing I was going to kind of ask about, and that is, your thought process. If you're Ron Turner and you come back out for the second half, you got a comfortable lead, and I said stay aggressive and keep the heat on. Is that part of what happens in that second half when you get a nice little cushion, then all of a sudden maybe you start to play it carefully?
Yeah, I think so, and that's typically has been the Bears' MO because, again, what do we always say? Good defense, good special teams can play conservative on offense, and you should win a game. And I just don't think the Bears have that luxury right now. We know their defense hasn't been playing up to snuff, and special teams hasn't. We're not getting the returns to the house like we historically have in the past. So I think it was conservative, tried to open it up, and finally got it done in the fourth quarter.
Kyle Orton is set to address the media live at Soldier Field. Let's listen in on U.S. Cellular Bears postgame live.
How you guys wanted to get more consistent offense?
Well, I thought we came out and played really well in the first half, established the run, which when you get into December at Soldier Field, you got to do. And we made enough plays in the passing game. So I thought we came out and started fast and did what we had to do to get the win.
How tough were the conditions?
It was cold, a little bit of wind, but all in all, if you can give me that weather for our next two games, at Soldier Field, I'll take it. So not too bad.
How big was getting tight ends involved again?
Yep, it was big. They made a lot of good plays for us. Matt Forte made good plays out of the backfield, running the football as well, and our receivers made some plays down the field.
Is that blood on your sock, or is that?
It's a football game. That's what how it goes.
Is that yours?
I think that's mine, yes. Yeah.
You said you'll take this weather next week. You guys like playing in cold weather?
Yeah, you got to love it, It's going to be like that, so you might as well embrace it. We get to practice in it, and we feel like we have an advantage. We can run the football, and it just seems like our defense plays well in this type of weather.
How's the advantages? You guys feel, you personally feel that you have an advantage having two very versatile tight ends?
No question about that. Dez and Greg make a lot of plays for us. Dez has been around for a long time now and has been in every situation and is a big help for Greg. And then Greg, everybody knows how good of a player Greg is. Makes a lot of plays for us down the field. And he had a big play where he turned a 3-yard pass into 20, 25-yard gain. So that was huge.
You talk about some of the other things Forte does well besides just running.
Yeah, pass protection. We've talked about it all year with him. Pass protection, catching the football, obviously running the football. So he does it all, and he's getting a lot better, when we split him out and throw the ball to him out there as well.
Kyle, so much maybe the wall, Matt just seems to get stronger and stronger.
Yeah, he keeps on surprising everybody. I don't think you can count him as a rookie. He wasn't really a rookie when he came in. He's well ahead of the curve and playing great football for us.
How big of a boost is it when you first time step on the field here? They just 5 yards.
No question. It was, you always got your game script, and you prepare for your first 20 plays, and you certainly don't prepare like you're going to get the ball at the 5-yard line. So to be able to go out and get a big turnover and to come back and get 7 on them right away is huge.
Were there indications that the weather was an issue for now?
I don't think so. I don't think you can ask for any better weather coming into December. So certainly is cold, but you got heaters on the sideline.
The ball float on you with that interception?
Excuse me?
Is that what happened when you were thrown downfield? You got picked? Did the ball float on you a bit?
No, just never even saw the guy coming from the backside. So just never saw him. We had a receiver coming over from the backside and thought I had a touchdown pass really to Devin. He ran a great route and thought I had a touchdown pass to him, threw it, and backside safety came over and I never saw him.
Did you see something on 30-yard pass?
Yeah, we had man coverage and checked out the play and gave Devin a chance down the field, and he ran a great route and made a nice play.
How badly did you need a game like this personally after the last 3?
Just needed it as a unit. I wasn't pressing. Put a lot of work into it this week and prepared just like always, and went out and played a good football game.
How's your ankle feel
It's it's going to be a year-long battle, and just going to have to keep on treating it and try to get it right for Thursday.
Do you have any confidence issues with Hester?
Excuse me?
Do you have any confidence issues with him?
Not at all. Not with any of our players. I think sometimes you catch them, sometimes you drop them. Sometimes you throw a good ball, sometimes you don't. It's just the game of football.
You seem to have pretty good field position to start.
Field position's big. I thought the defense did a great job of not only the turnovers, but getting some 3 and outs and getting us the ball right back. And that's big. When you go down and score and you can come back and get a 3 and out and get the ball right back again is always big.
How did you cut your
I don't really know, to be honest with you. The same way as it's going to affect New Orleans, I would imagine. We got 1 day of practice, and it's just mainly going to be about getting in the film room, preparing mentally, going over our plays, and focusing on us. When you got this short amount of time, there's really not a whole lot of focus on the opponent. It's focusing on yourself and trying to get some of your mistakes corrected.
Anything else?
Thank you very much.
Kyle Orton goes 20 of 34 today for 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. David Garrard, after an awful first half where he was just 4 of 12 for 33 yards and a quarterback rating of 7.6, he ends up 19 of 38, 178. The touchdown, the interception, of course, the big interception in the game that got this party started.
It should be pointed out that David Garrard, before that last series, had a quarterback rating of 0 in that first half, so he made a nice comeback.
He did. What was Jacksonville able to do there with the passing game in the second half? Because it was Maurice Jones-Drew and Fred Taylor, a steady dose of that in the first half.
And I think that serves you well then when you go to play action. That's why we always talk about having the ability to run the football leads you to play action, and certainly that's one of the things that Garrard was doing pretty well today. His receivers, we talk about receivers dropping footballs. I don't know, they better check the hearts of these guys.
All right, Lovey is set to address the media. Let's listen in to the head coach of the Chicago Bears.
Needing to get a win in the worst way. Talk a lot about starting fast. Our team did that. And the interception by Danielle Manning was big. He played well throughout, did a great job with the kickoff returns. Also, offensively, we moved the ball when we needed to. And defense, for the most part, did what they needed to do throughout. I think we had 3 sacks. It was good to see us get some pressure on the quarterback. For the most part, I thought we held down that run. Injury-wise, Garrett Wolf injured his hamstring, and besides that, we're in pretty good shape. So, again, going into the game, the best we could be was to get 1 win and go from there. And that's where we are. We know we have a quick turnaround this week, but we'll get ready for it and go. I'll take your question.
With Dennis ding the last couple of days, were you still pretty confident he'd go today? And of course, he gave you a couple pretty good.
Yes, we were confident. He went out before for the pregame stuff, and he felt pretty good then. So, he hasn't missed many games around here. So we've for some reason we just assume he'll always be out there playing. Tommy was a little banged up, nothing major, and we just decided to sit him out a little sore.
What area do you think improved the most today?
Oh, I think all areas. Defensively, we needed to, we knew they would come in and try to run the football. They've done a good job with that, had all their skill guys back. For the most part, we kept them down with it. We needed to run the football, and when we had opportunities to pass the football, we needed to do that. And then we always talk about what we get from our special teams. So I think all 3 groups did about what we needed them to do today.
Kyle said he hopes it stays this cold the next 2 home games. How much of being a tough team and in tough weather is part of your team identity?
That's what we are. I mean, we're in Chicago in December. It's always cold here. We realize that. We want everyone else coming in to know that. It helps the more you guys talk about it for New Orleans, too. It should be a little bit colder, hopefully, Thursday night. But, we play our best football when it's like this.
Does that make the special teams even more important in terms of field position on it?
Everything. I mean, anytime you're having to exchange the ball, hard ball that feels like it weighs about 5 pounds, I mean, it's hard. Hard catching balls, holding on to the ball, making catches, too.
Coach, how does it feel to be first coach to get franchise 7?
Forgotten all about that. Feels good to be a part of a franchise that's gotten that many wins. Chicago Bears, we know what they stand for. We just hope we can, get 701 quickly.
Coach, you said you play your best ball in this type of weather. What brings out your best ball when it's cold?
I think everyone has a home field advantage. If you talk to teams that aren't from Chicago, believe me, they don't want to come to Chicago this time of the year to play football. For us, it's a part of our everyday life. So we have to be able to play football in these conditions. We practice in it for the most part, and there's no issue with us.
Lovey, did you do any scoreboard watching? Were you
there? What you going out reflecting the play?
Yeah, I was watching 3rd and 1, and when we scored 20 points, is that the scoreboard watching you're talking about? That's about all I do is that.
Back to the weather and everything, the kicking was really key. I mean, Robbie was perfect today. Can you talk about also the field positioning that you got from Brad?
Both of them, you know, we have an excellent kicker. Once we get the ball within striking range, we feel confident that he'll make the kicks. And Brad Maynard has kicked the ball inside the 20 more than any punt in the league. We expect him to keep them pinned down there and give our defense a chance to really keep them down there. It was about field position today, and both guys did a great job with that.
Lovey, with the short week and not able really to concentrate as much on the Saints, how important is it for you guys to just get more consistent on both sides of the ball?
Well, it's important to be consistent, just period, Peggy. And with the Saints coming up, we've known that we had a Sunday game and a Thursday game coming up, so we've made preparations for that. It's a shorter week for them having to travel. So, again, we're looking forward to having another chance to play the Saints. Seemed like we played them under these conditions, I guess, the last 3 years now. So it should be a heck of a game.
Lovey, is Kyle Orton just cementing his position as a starting quarterback for the Bears for years to come, do you think?
I hope so. We have a lot of confidence in Kyle. He's done everything we've asked him to do. No quarterback is perfect. You know, each game there will be a couple plays Kyle would like, and all quarterbacks would like to have back, but we like his leadership at the quarterback position and what he can do to help our football team win.
Coach, do you think in several games you guys led to Super Bowl early in the season to come back on that?
No, don't live in the past, really. Right now, we can finish up 10-6. Most teams that finish up 10-6, they end up going to the playoffs. We're just looking straight ahead is what we're doing.
Coach, 13 games into the rookie year, anything still surprise you in that book at all?
No, we've seemed like we've talked about him the same way every game. Since the Indy game, you know what to expect from him. You know, he's a good runner. He can make do all the things you ask a great running back to do. And there's no rookie wall, all those things you look for. He was excited about playing today. This is a guy that's been down south most of his life, too. No sleeves, just tough guy that we, the Chicago Bears, want a tailback like that, you know, for sure.
Can you speak to having to help Mike Brown for the whole season?
That's good. Mike has meant a lot to us. Great leadership, great player, all of that. It's just good to have him out there. We'll need him down this stretch run.
Has it made a difference on your defense all week?
Definitely so. Definitely so. Mike has meant a lot to us. He's a good football player for us. We need him to do well.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
It's Lovey after the 23-10 victory over the Jaguars. Here's the reporting card from the coaching staff, from the guys here. Jerry gives them a B, Jim an A-, Jiggs a B.
A-.
Good decision to, of course, throw the red hanky on the Daniel Manning pick.
Excellent decision.
That where he fumbled, it was ruled a touchback. Clearly, it was out at the 1-yard line, not hitting the pylon. But there probably could be some question marks about the play calling in the third quarter, correct?
Well, yeah, I think that's the only thing. You know, when you look back, though, in some of the circumstances in that, you look back on certain players, you know, breaking down, too. So that takes away a lot of the energy that you're trying to create offensively when you have drop balls or, you know, you give up a sack or tackle for loss. So that kind of influences the way that you look at those situations. And maybe if, you know, you had a chance to move on, things would have come out a little bit differently. But when you look at Matt Forte's ability in that first half and what he did, and then compare that to the second half, it's obvious that there was a fall off.
Maurice Jones-Drew, that's a football player.
Yeah, he is.
Bowling ball.
I mean,
it's fun to watch.
yeah, not when you're a Bears fan and you keep seeing Bears defenders.
It's fun to watch when you're 10 or 20 points ahead. Because you know what? That's what, you know, you expect out of running backs, to see that kind of effort. It's a beautiful thing.
Here it is, Maurice Jones-Drew, 12 carries for 55 yards today against the Bears, 4.6 yards per carry. And then Fred Taylor checking in with 53. It's a great running attack. This Jaguars team's puzzling. I mean, just when you think that they should run it, like in 4th and 2, they don't go for it.
Jim and I were debating this. They had a couple of situations where 4th and 1, 4th and 2. And Jim wanted to go for it.
Well,
I'm like, what?
Yeah, well, if you see, the Bears were prepared. When they went for their 4th down opportunity, they already had the play call in their head. And here at Jacksonville is basically out of everything. Everything's 4-down territory for them. So you think they would have had dialed up a couple
but see,
plays.
here's the
and
point,
especially
though.
when David Garrard's getting 4 yards on the quarterback sneak, just call the big boy and let him get
it. All right, but you know, they were like on the 5-yard line, backed up to the 5.
If you're scared, tell me. They're out of the playoff hunt.
All right, we're going to step aside right now. William Jackson will join us shortly from the lakefront, a frigid Soldier Field. He'll have player reaction in just a bit. Let's check out our U.S. Cellular poll question. Here it is, folks. It's simple. Bears, they go to 7-6. Minnesota wins. They're at 8-5. So after this victory over the Jags, do you think the Bears will make the playoffs? Simple yes or no will do. Log on to the new csnchicago.com. Plus, you can send us your thoughts on today's game. We'll have the results for our poll question coming up later in the show.
Hopefully that's a good motivation to get some more in this last 4 stretch.
Yeah, get the roll started. This is when they really need it. I know Dan Jenkins has a question for you in the studio. What do you have, Dan?
Yeah, we were happy for you today, man, to finally see you get the quarterback on the ground. But I'm wondering, you know, from season to season, how much have you changed or tried to improve your pass rush? Because a lot of times people will get into a rut where you're making the same kind of move. Have you tried to develop some other moves to get to the quarterback?
Yeah, see, today I think I brought the spin out. I ain't never really brought that part of my game out, and I mean it was pretty successful for me today, and I might have to add that to my arsenal. But like I was saying, I've been pressing all year, man. In this game, I finally just relaxed and just let the game come to me, and it paid off for me. I think I'm gonna use that for motivation, just to keep applying pressure to the quarterback.
Well, Mark, Jim Miller here. Love the spin move. Great job getting the sack. Congratulations. It almost looked like you guys were diagnosing to bat down the balls today of David Garrard. When you look at him on the short passing game, what has changed from the coaching, maybe just diagnosing at the line of scrimmage? I saw Israel Donajay had one, Alex Brown had one, and obviously you came close to getting another sack later in the game as well. Maybe you can break that down for us.
Yeah, we knew we had to, apply pressure on this offensive line. And and if the quarterback in the center, it's always gonna be like a quick game. We studied that throughout the week. We just got our hands up, in close situations, and just everybody just was working against their opponent, and that's how we came up with 3 sacks and about 3 batted balls. The defensive line, we just grinded it out, and everything worked out for us.
Hey, Mark, Dan Jenkins again. I wanted to tell you something. With the speed that you have up the field. Do me a favor the next game against the Saints. Take about 3 steps up that field off the good move right off the snap, and then turn and run over those offensive tackles, okay?
You want me to be a bull rush?
You wait till you see the tape. You're going to go, oh, my goodness, I could have had a sack right there. Run over that guy every now and then.
You want me to bull rush him for you?
Yeah, buddy, give it to him.
Got you. I got you.
All right. So this is a short week, and you guys only have a couple days left before New Orleans. Not a whole lot of time to celebrate, time to get back to the grind.
Yeah, today is the only day we got to celebrate this win, and tomorrow we back at it early. Short week, we got who we got?
Got the Saints.
Yeah, we got the Saints coming up.
That's the way you focus on one game at a time.
Yeah, man, just one game at a time, man. But we got the Saints coming up. We need this victory, man, so we can go on and get this playoff push, man, and get to this Super Bowl and win it.
All right, Mark Anderson, appreciate it. Congrats on that sack and getting it going. And hopefully, like you said earlier, it'll be the start of some good. Let's go back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Billy Jack, thank you very much. And thanks to Mark Anderson for joining us on U.S. Cellular Bears Postgame Live. But, a lot that's been discussed with Mark is that he did such a great job rushing the quarterback in his rookie campaign. He had troubles when it came to stopping the run. What can you do if you kind of get labeled as that, and how can you improve that and get out of that rut?
Well, I guess by, again, it's dissecting the game and understanding distance and situations and whatnot. You become a smarter player that way. But the other thing is that, if you start to rush with an understanding of how you're going to set a lineman up, and that's why I was talking to him about, every now and then turning and running over that tackle, because he's got so much upfield speed, tackles are running to catch up with him. And that's when you just turn around and bull rush him and run him right into the quarterback. So what he's got to learn is start to put together that repertoire of different moves. And once he does that, and somebody's got to teach that. Usually it's a veteran that does teach you that, because it's one thing for a coach to say it, but it's another thing for a guy that's been out there and done it down in and down out in the National Football League. It's very helpful to have one of those guys around.
Let's take a look at the defensive numbers for the Bears on this afternoon. See, they gave up just the 10 points, 278 total yards, $119 on the ground. They had the 3 sacks. They had the big takeaway from Danielle Manning that set up the first score, 5 of 17 on third downs. All in all, were you happy with the way the defense played? I guess the only area of concern would be wrapping up, the tackling. And is that more Maurice Jones-Drew, or is that just a problem with this team?
Well, I've said it all along, basics, tackling, you have to be a solid tackling team to get far in the National Football League. But Drew and Fred, there's some great running backs, and they're really, really tough to wrap up. Urlacher has some trouble wrapping this little guy up.
Well, it's tough. I mean, Jacksonville had a really good game plan coming in. The 3 tight end sets, they were pushing around the Bears pretty good. That's, because that's what we think about at Tampa, too. They're a lighter, speedier defense, heavy personnel. Normally you can pound them into oblivion. Then once they fell behind, they had to scrap their game plan, and then things started to happen for the Bears defense.
I guess you look at it this way. Jacksonville, the one thing that they do have is a running game. And today it had 108 yards in total, but neither one of those guys went over 60 yards. With all that grinding that they were doing, neither one of them really broke one and just kind of took off and took it the distance. So if you look at it that way, you say, okay, the one thing that they said they were going to do coming in was they're going to establish the run. They were able to establish the run, but they were not able to break this game open with the run.
The Saints got a victory at home over Atlanta. They go to 7-6 on the year. So, again, it's a short work week for both teams. Both come in here with identical records. Both are in the playoff hunt. How do you like the matchup on Thursday night against the Saints?
I think it's going to be difficult, even with the elements and cold weather, and I think all that factored in. I mean, this New Orleans team, that's why they're the #1 offense in the NFL. They can dissect you at every position. I mean, look how they destroyed Green Bay, and we thought Green Bay was a pretty potent defense. They exposed everybody.
And this two-pronged attack that we saw today from Jacksonville with Pierre Thomas and Reggie Bush, Pierre goes for 102 yards today and a touchdown. Reggie goes for 80 yards, and of course, he can really hurt you coming out of the backfield as well, which is another area of concern. It's stopping the screen. Sometimes this team has
I think it's almost, against New Orleans, forget about stopping the run. That's really not their MO. Their short passing game is the extension of the run game, and some of it's with Drew Brees from the shotgun because he's only 6 foot. So I think the game plan, much like the Bears used today, look how many balls they batted down. That's the first time we've seen it all year long. So a concerted effort across the whole line should be the same type of effort against Drew Brees.
And we saw in that one play where Alex Brown jumped up.
Made David Garrard tuck it.
He had to recock, and I think there was a sack on the play, right?
I think one time he threw an interception. Another time there was a sack, but it was clear that the Bears' defensive line had really kind of gotten the idea. That 3-step drop, force the issue up front and then get your hands up and make him, and Lance Briggs was the other guy I think that jumped up and made him readjust off of one of them.
On those quick passing teams, the teams that get in the rhythm, the 2-step drops, boom, fire, you got to do that. If you're not getting to the quarterback, you need to get the hands up in the passing lanes.
We talk about being able to rush with 4. You saw a lot today of the Bears rushing with just the 4 down guys, and they actually got some pressure on a couple of times.
Yeah. Well, the twists, the games, I thought that was a big part of the game plan defensively where they got some guys in there. And again, Israel Donahue, I think he had a great game, either getting in there for a sack on a TE game or holding up his hands to get a bat down at the line of scrimmage. Remember, Drew Brees is only 6 foot. David Garrard, 6'4". That's going to come in handy versus New Orleans.
Kyle Orton had a 22-yard touchdown pass to Greg Olsen in the second quarter, and Olsen did a great job getting the ball over the plane of the goal line. He is standing by with our William Jackson at Soldier Field. Take it away, William.
Appreciate it, Pat, and that is exactly it. Greg, you had the presence of mind to reach the ball over. What was going on in your head? Did you think you were close on the touchdown, or what was going on?
Yeah, I knew it was close. I knew when I caught it, I didn't think I was in the end zone, and the guy kind of hit me in the back, so I wasn't able to, go forward. But so I just felt once I secured it to try to reach it out and hope for the best before, and thankfully it worked out.
No doubt about it. Now, the tight ends always, we've talked about it weeks and weeks, that a big part of this team, and you guys showed it again today, is you and your buddy both got in the end zone. Huh?
Yeah, like we said, we're undefeated when we both score. So we're 2-0. Right. So when we score in the same games, but it was good to see Dez get back in the end zone after the start of the season not getting any touchdowns. So it felt good for us both to be involved and get early touchdowns in the first half. So it was a good team win for us, and it was definitely a much needed win.
Yeah, you talk about the much needed win. You guys get it today. You keep the playoff hopes alive, but it's a short turnaround. New Orleans this week. How quickly can you physically get ready to get back into action?
I think we'll be fine. Obviously, guys dinged up and going to be sore for, that's expected. But, guys just have to do a good job. It's going to be more of a mental week, watching film and studying these guys rather than on the practice field running around. So we, it's going to be the same for both teams. So it's going to be fair, and we just have to do a good job preparing and going out and play well on Thursday.
All right, good luck to you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it, Greg.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Take care. Yep.
All right. So Greg Olsen there. Let's go back to you guys in the studio. The Bears feeling good about this win. So they said it's not as cold when you get the win, just when you don't win. So hopefully they'll feel good for the next few weeks. Back to you guys.
All right, Billy Jack, thank you very much. Let's take a look at the numbers from Greg Olsen, Des Clark, who's out there playing hurt. Des had to miss a practice or two this week. He had 2 catches, had the touchdown catch there on the first drive of the game. Greg Olsen, that was huge. What he was able to do, this offense continues to stall in the red zone area. They were just outside of it there, but that second effort was huge.
I think it was big because everybody has exposed Jacksonville's safeties all season long. Gerald Sensabaugh and even their young draft pick last year, Reggie Nelson. So that was the game plan coming in this week. Probably could have had another one, a big play, if Kyle wouldn't have underthrew the post route to Devin Hester. That could have been a big play on the safeties as well. So those guys should have been the top receivers on this team today, and by God, they finally did it and showed up.
I do want to credit Devin Hester with coming back today and having a pretty decent day. He had that one drop, but I tell you what, I think he surprised everybody a little bit because especially with that go route down the sideline, that was a beautifully thrown football.
Perfectly thrown ball.
But he made the catch too.
The wind, separation, did everything he had to do. As soon to get off the line of scrimmage, one, you can see he's got flat out speed. You almost wish the Bears would take advantage of that more.
I know. You'd think that they would, yeah. All right, well, we're going to talk about the receivers because there's a lot of issues that, whether or not this team makes the playoffs, something needs to happen with the wide receiving core, and we're going to get into that after we take a break here. Let's take a look at some of the scores from Week 14 of the National Football League, brought to you by Jack Daniels. Some interesting scores. Lions had a chance at Ford Field to finally get in the win column. They could, of course, not do that, and they couldn't help out the Bears in the process as the Vikings took care of business. 2016 the final. Texans win at Lambeau Field. So the Packers are now 5-8. Folks, they're basically done. So that Monday night game in 2 weeks when they come to town, they're playing for the paycheck. That helps the Bears out. Colts, they've got some momentum. Bob Sanders plays. They are a legit ball club. Obviously, Peyton Manning has responded from his sluggish start. 35-3 the final over the Bengals. Eagles take care of the Giants. The G-men lose for just the second time this season. The Saints come to the lakefront on Thursday night after a 29-25 victory in the dirty NFC South. And the Titans take care of the Browns. 28-9 the final. We're back with more US Cellular Bears post-game live. Talk about those receivers on the other side. Post-game live at csnchicago.com. Just like Andre from Chicago did, here's what he had to say. Unimpressive victory against a struggling team. More bad tackling equals home for the playoffs.
Oh, not yet. There's still hope.
Well, there is. Israel Adonijah joins the party now. Izzy came through today with, at least one sack? Did he have one?
A sack and a half.
Sack and a half. All right, sack and a half. That gets you an interview with our William Jackson live at Soldier Field. Take it away, Billy Jack.
All right, Pat, guys, we were just talking about that. Did he get credit for one and a half? He says he wants the full one. Have to wait on all that, but it feels good either way.
It feels good. Just to get out there and make plays, and that's kind of what is required of me and what I'm called to do. So just to get out there and make plays and help the defense was big there.
And talk about now, because we've talked about it each and every week, that it's crunch time. It really is now. And for the defense to get the pressure like you guys were able to do on Garrard today, who is a mobile quarterback, how huge was that?
It was big. It was big. It's when we get a lead like that, we have to be able to get after the quarterback and really disrupt and cause problems in the backfield. And, it's just good to do that and know that we can do that.
And one thing we haven't talked about yet, and I know the guys, they may want to touch on it, but the cold weather. Did you see it affect those guys? Because they came out, you put the pressure on them early, got the interception, able to put some points on the board. Do you think the weather played a role?
Might have. Well, personally, I don't think it was really that cold. We practiced in colder weather this week, and it wasn't too bad out there. And but for them coming from such warm weather, I think it might have affected them a little more than us, and hopefully it played into their psyche a little bit.
Okay. Izzy, Dan Jiggers has a question for you right there in the studio. What do you have, Dan?
Hey, Izzy, you said it wasn't cold out there. You're from Canada, my friend. Hold on a second. Hey, I want to talk to you about the three-step drop and how you guys were very effective today in getting in the quarterback's face, number one. And number two, I guess the bad news is once you got back there, you realized that David Garrard was probably the same size as you, right?
Oh, he's a big boy, and you look at a couple of those hits and sacks. You gotta fight to bring him down, and he doesn't go down easy. And he stands in the pocket. He's very confident in his ability in the pocket, and just as a front, we really were committed to making a push in the pocket and getting up ahead with our blitzes and just creating problems and bringing pressure. So that was something we were glad to do today.
Izzy, Jim Miller here. Great game today. Obviously, congratulations on the sack and a half. But it seemed like you guys really forced Jacksonville out of their game plan. Early in the game, a lot of 3 tight end sets. They really wanted to come right at you and pound the football. How critical was that for you guys to get them out of that game plan early?
It was big. It's all week we're prepared for that really physical running game and a real physical game and attacking the edges. And to get a lead really kind of put them out of their rhythm and put them out of their game plan and allowed us to play our scheme and kind of take control of the game. And it was critical, and that really kind of set the tone of the day and allowed us to pull away and get the win.
And as you guys have a situation coming up, the Saints coming in just a couple of days from now, but they'll come in to cold temperatures once again, this time at night. Play to your advantage, just a tad again?
That night game's going to be cold. And I think whenever you get a team that is unaccustomed to that kind of weather, it affects them. And it's a psychological game, and we practice in it, so we know how to gear ourselves up. We know how to, the little tricks of staying warm. And they're coming down here, and they have to adjust. Mid-game, my hands are freezing. What do you do? My feet are cold. And hands and feet, those are the critical points. You got to keep warm. You keep your hands and feet warm. You have a lot of plays, and you have a lot of, you can make plays, and you can play well. And those are things that they're not prepared for.
Okay, final question. Psychologically, you have to tell Zoom you're looking good, huh?
Oh man, Zoom. Zoom has a little GQ thing, and I always come, dressed and ready to go. So for a big man, I do my thing. Zoom, come see me whenever you want to come. See the GQ and see if I'm doing it. Come holler at your boy, cause I'm doing it.
You're doing it, and staying warm at the same time. All right, hey, on that note, we'll go back to you, Izzy. Appreciate it, man. All right, Zoom, you heard him, man.
All right, Izzy Williams, thank you very much. You can tell, guys from Canada, he's got the accessories for the cold climate.
Element ready. It was element ready.
And
winter cream, too, looking nice.
For the big man. Think about shopping for the big man. I mean, that's a special setup right there.
It was a nice little setup.
You got to really give him
nice little hat,
consideration.
little brim. Looked like he was from Brooklyn.
Canadian.
Nothing wrong with being from Brooklyn.
Let's get back to the receiving corps situation. Kyle Orton hit 6 different receivers on this day. Devin Hester with 5 catches for 80 yards. You had Matt Forte with 5 catches for 37 yards. We were looking at the statistics in the National Football League for receivers with receiving yards, total yards. The Bears don't have a receiver in the top 50, top 60. Hester leads the way at the 63rd or 64th. Then there's a drop down to Des Clark. And then there might be an Olsen sighting and a Forte sighting at 80. The bottom line is, when you look at Hester, you look at Marty Booker and Rasheed Davis, they don't have right now a premier one receiver. They don't. They can say Devin Hester is, or they want him to be. He is not.
Well, I think they're still hoping that next year, this is a work in progress with Devin Hester. I think we know that. But Anquan Bolden's looking better and better the more and more I throw out around his name of the Arizona Cardinals, because Devin is explosive, but it's going to take time. Just like today, if you ask him to do one thing, he can do it and do it well. Go get the football on a go route. Last week we saw on the return route, not quite there when it comes to route running. Times he's taken steps forward, and at times we see steps back. But what does that say when your project is your number one receiver?
But what about the play calling? Do you think that has to play with it also?
I think, it's a little bit of everything. I think it's a function that Kyle doesn't have confidence in the receiving core. Today, I could see Kyle looking down the field, didn't trust it. He's dumping it off to Matt Forte because he knows that's the guy he can he can trust to get the ball to right now. So I think it's more about everything else than the lack of guys working to get open down the field than just
like he trusts the receiver, the tight ends more than he trusts his wide receiver group, and justifiably so.
Yeah.
I mean,
Marty Booker's been a major disappointment for this team. Brandon Lloyd's been a major disappointment for this team.
Did he play the?
I don't know if he played. I think so.
Okay.
Rasheed Davis has been a major. Well, how come we don't see a Rideau or a Bennett or a Mike Hass ever out there? Because Mike Hass could drop a ball like Rasheed Davis. I know what Rasheed Davis can give the Bears.
I'm convinced that the more competitive a situation you make it, the better the performances will be. And I really do think sometimes you have to take some chances on some guys and give them the opportunity to let them compete and then find out who the best people are for those positions.
There was a statement made today by starting Rasheed Davis. That was a message to Brandon Lloyd and those other guys, and the guy still didn't show up, Rasheed Davis. So hopefully that competitive nature is there, because there's going to be some guys like Anquan Bolden that are coming in to take your spot.
Corey Graham got the start at corner as Nate Vasher is on injured reserve for the rest of the way. He's standing by with our William Jackson live at Soldier Field. Take it away, William.
All right, Pat, appreciate it. As you alluded to, Corey Graham with us. And Corey, it's your job now. We knew that when Nate went down, but talk about the assignment today going up against receivers 6'6", 6'4", 6'2". What kind of challenge was that for the secondary?
Well, you know, it's definitely a challenge. You know, you go against big receivers, they're going to try to throw it up, and they try to be big boy you a little bit, and, you know, a lot of jump balls and things like that. But it's something that I kind of look forward to. I'm a bigger corner, so I like going against the bigger receivers. I'd rather that going against some small, quick guys. You know, it's a lot easier for me.
Okay. And what did you do? What was the game plan today going against those guys with the size of Garrard, knowing he wanted to get it to him?
Well, to be honest, nothing changed. You know, we knew that they were going to try to go at them. We just wanted to stay square in our back pedal and just play them tough. You know, we didn't want to get over top of them too much. We wanted to play them honest, just be aggressive on things.
Maurice Jones-Drew, you talk about the two-headed monster and Taylor. What is the deal about trying to tackle him with him being a short, stocky guy?
To be honest, you know, it's one of them weeks. You know, Maurice Jones-Drew, he's a stocky guy, so he's like a bowling ball out there. You know, it's tough to bring him down. He runs real hard and things like that. So you just gotta, you know, you gotta team up against him. You know, everybody gotta run to the ball. Everybody gotta be aggressive. Gotta be physical. When you get there, you just gotta make tackles.
And you guys held him in check pretty much all day in terms of them putting points on the board. Huh?
Well, definitely, we did a good job out there today. You know, guys were aggressive. Guys were making tackles and things like that. But we just gotta continue to get better and better at it. You know, every week guys gonna try to run on us and things like that. So we just gotta be aggressive. We gotta continue to run to the ball, be fast, and just make plays.
And New Orleans coming up a short week, no time to bask in the glory of this one, huh?
Yeah, it definitely don't get no easier. You know, these guys going to come in. They got a lot of good receivers. They're going to try to pass the ball and things like that. So we got our hands full. We just got to go out there and find a way to make it happen.
All right, appreciate it. Corey Graham, feeling good as his teammates and everybody talks to him. Let's go back to y'all in the studio.
All right, William, thank you very much. Someone intercepting the Corey Graham's interview there. Let's talk about the secondary. Charles Tillman led the Bears today with 8 tackles. Mike Brown also checked in with 8 tackles. Your thoughts of where this secondary is? I think Daniel Manning has really shown that he belongs on this team in many different ways. Kick returning, he's been fantastic, and certainly in nickel situation and some dimes.
Well, he's been asked and placed into some tough positions, but he's always come up. He's always rose to the occasion. You know, you look back to like when the Bears were in the Super Bowl, he was asked to play a significant part, and he did his job. I like the play of Corey Graham. You know, he's coming up, and he's being a well-accounted cornerback in this league.
Hey, why is it so difficult for guys to play the nickelback situation? What's the difference between, you know, starting that corner and playing nickel?
Well, when you're playing nickelback, you basically have to cover a wide receiver that's in the middle of the football field, and that wide receiver has a two-way go. You know, and that becomes very, very difficult because, you know, the entire football field is wide open, and you have to cover that, and you have to defend
that. You got to be able to multitask, though, a little bit, right?
You have to multitask. I mean, there's a lot of thinking at playing nickelback, and I think that Manny has struggled over time. Over some times, he's shown some signs of greatness and some, well, maybe not greatness, but he's shown some signs that he can, you know, achieve at that position.
Coming up, we're going to hear from Ron Turner. Were you not happy with the play calling there in the third quarter? We'll talk to Ron Turner, and we'll hear from Matt Forte, the rookie out of Tulane. But here, once again, is our poll question. After this victory today over the Jaguars, 23-10, do you think the Bears will make the postseason? Simple yes or no will do. Go to csnchicago.com, cast your vote. Who's hot, who's not from around Week 14 of the National Football League? Who's hot? How about Peyton? Brian Westbrook as the Eagles take care of the Giants. Vincent Jackson, 5 catches, 148 yards. and a touchdown for the Chargers the other night. Ryan Fitzpatrick is not. Gus Frerotte was knocked out of the game at Ford Field. And Eli with a shaky performance. 13 to 27, 123 yards, and a touchdown.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, my guy from Harvard, of course.
Good to always get the Ivy Leaguers mentioned.
Right.
Anthony Adams playing a nice role today. 8 tackles, part of that Bears defense, and he's standing by with little Anthony and our William Jackson. Take it away, guys.
Hey, Pat, you got it. Now, you have to be old school to know little Anthony and Imperial's old senior group. Little Anthony back here, big Anthony right here, and all smiles for very good reason. You've been talking all year long, just give you the opportunity. You show what you can do. As Pat alluded to, 8 tackles and just balling. I saw you coming off the field one time just kicking your legs like you were having fun. Was it fun today for you?
It was definitely fun, and it was definitely fat man weather out there today. And, you know, it was a good time, man. I was having a lot of fun.
And when you talk about the stretch run right here where you guys had to get it done, you were able to keep this dream alive as Lowell Anthony's looking around. Huh?
Yeah, this my little guy right here, man. And it's been a lot of fun, man, to try to try to make this run, man, to get to the playoffs, man. My little son, he's ready for it, man.
Okay. What does it mean when the defensive line can put the pressure on like you guys were able to do today?
We let the cornerbacks, be able to take gambles and stuff like that and break on routes because they know we're gonna get a lot of pressure. And we gonna make the quarterback get the ball out quick.
And was it big for you guys to come up big with them having so many big receivers that Garrard, if given the opportunity, would be able to throw it up? But you guys were able to tip a lot of balls, keep pressure on him. Did that take them out of their rhythm a bit?
Yes, it did. If they're gonna run like a slant or anything like that, and we get our hands up, it'll make them pump the ball more so. And they get a lot of time for the cornerbacks to make up ground.
Okay.
Good job with it.
And with that, come on in.
See him just kicked me?
Yeah, getting kicked here. Now here's one of your partners here. We'll bring him in with you.
Oh, he's getting heavy.
Uh-oh.
His shoe came off.
All right, Danielle Manning right here. Danielle, I want to ask you, what does it mean when Anthony and the guys are able to put the pressure on Garrard like they were today? What does it do for you all?
Hey, man, give us a win. That's the most important thing, man. Guys play around. Got to have opportunity to get their hands on the ball. We had a lot of picks. A lot of tips. D-line getting their hand on the ball and helped me get a pick today, so that was always good.
And I was going to say, early on, you were able to get the pick. Was it because of the pressure these guys were able to apply?
They established that early.
Yeah.
They established that early and often, man, and just kept doing it.
And then you talk about the cold weather, too. I was asking Anthony about it. As he plays with little Anthony, do you think it affected him?
Yeah, man. They kind of come out with no sleeves and stuff, but you don't practice in that. You don't play in it all the time, so it's going to hit you, especially when they got off the plane.
When they got off the plane. And you sensed that, too, that cold weather was messing with them a little bit.
It probably was, but, I'm sure they're used to it, man. They play against the Steelers and everybody, and, they played in the playoffs when it was cold. So, we are professionals, so they know how to handle it. But we won today, so.
That was it?
Yep.
Now, how big is it for you to watch this guy, as he plays with Lil Anthony, return kicks? And for you, you're close again to busting a couple, taking to the house.
Man, the guys
first
doing a
really
good job. They're doing a good job up front blocking, and I just got to, I don't know, you just got to keep back and watch film a little more and see exactly what needs to be done, and we'll get it together. Get me across that pylon, man.
Okay, but as you rack it up, and I know it's a team sport, but for you, it had to be a good game with the pick. You put the first 7 on the board to set that up, and then after that, for the kickoff returns and field position and things of that nature.
That's always good, man. That's one of the things in special teams Coach Tove always talk about. Getting great field position, that's one. Getting a big return or a big turnover. And so we did 2 of those today.
Okay, I want to ask each of you one final question. Just New Orleans coming up short week. What are you thinking?
I'm going to say we just got to get back to preparation. Same way we did last week for this game. It's the same way we should do it for next week. And just keep working hard, man. It'll come down to these last 3 games now.
Okay, and Minnesota looked like Detroit was going to help you guys out today, but in the end, Minnesota pulled it out. Yeah. For you all, again, Thursday, big, just keep grinding, huh?
Yep, just keep grinding, getting a hot tub, cold tub, nursing injuries, and just come out and just ball.
Ball.
Yep.
And only a couple days to do it, huh?
Yep.
All right, congrats, guys.
All right,
nice game. And Lil Anthony and Imperials, that's our man. All right, let's go back to you all in the studio.
Lil Anthony and his boot. Great job, guys. Thanks a lot for joining us on U.S. Cellular Bears Postgame Live. And you talk about Anthony Adams playing hurt. He was on that injured report all week long, and they definitely needed him without Dusty Dvorak now for the rest of the way. But Daniel Manning brought up a great thing, the pass deflections. There was 10 pass deflections that the Bears had today. On the other side, the Jags only had 5. You get your paws on a ball, knock it up in the air. We saw a lot of almost interceptions out there. That's something they're going to have to do with Drew Brees on Thursday night.
Oh, there's no question about it. I mean, because otherwise he will eat you alive. But the thing, we talked about this for weeks and weeks and weeks, and now I think now they have some tape to sit down and actually see how effective it really is against a quarterback, even a taller quarterback like Garrard. You imagine that against Drew Brees, and you're going to have to get there quick because he's going to unload the football, and he's got multiple receivers, and his guys catch the football.
Matt Forte, 5 catches for 37 yards on the ground, 21 attempts, 69 yards, a 3.3 yard per average run. He addressed the media a short time ago. Let's listen in to the rookie from Tulane.
Do you guys feel you have an advantage considering the Saints are more of a dome team and you guys have been outside already?
Yeah, definitely. So, it's always an advantage when teams come up here to play, especially if they haven't been used to the cold weather.
How much do you feel like you just took control in the first couple minutes? I mean, you got right away you scored a touchdown, and then when you got the ball back, you broke off a big run. I mean, how much did that just set the tone right in the first few minutes?
It set the tone for the rest of the game, and we just kept building from there.
Do you feel like you're used to the cold?
I don't think you ever get used to it. I mean, I deal with it.
Hey, Matt, first 1,000 yards, now 50 catches. Is there another football player who you look at his rookie stats, and that's kind of your goal that you want to better them?
I never look at anybody's stats. I just go out and play every weekend, and stats come along, but I'm really worried about the win column.
Lovey was impressed that you're a warm weather guy. You came out in short sleeves. You thought that kind of showed tough mentality and all that. I mean, any reason why you came out in short sleeves? Or
I never wore sleeves, even though we played in cold games, because it messes with carrying the football. So I never been a sleeve guy. It's most importantly to keep your chest warm instead of your arms. My arms really don't get that cold.
But when teams win in cold weather, I mean, does that kind of add to their identity of being a tough team when you can win in tough conditions?
Yeah, of course. Coach Lovey always says this is Chicago Bears football weather. So, we build on that and take it out there and we take pride in that.
Man, these are the harshest conditions you'd ever played in personally?
Is this the what?
Harshest conditions you'd ever played in personally?
It's probably the coldest.
But it was no big deal for you?
No.
So I guess what I'm unclear on, so for Jacksonville, why is it hard for them?
Because they're from Florida.
Yeah, but you're from South too, right?
I know, but I've been up here. They haven't.
Matt, you hear talk about rookies hitting a wall at some point in a season. It looks like that hasn't arrived for you, if it will at all.
Yeah, I really don't think about that. I just go out every weekend prepared. Go out there prepared every weekend and, go out there ready to play.
What do you think about surpassing Sayers' rookie record?
I mean, that's a blessing. It's a great accomplishment. I'm just glad I had the opportunity to do it.
Saints fan brought up this week about getting out too fast. Are you finding some rhythm? You guys had it in the first half. Why couldn't you get it going again in the second half?
They were kind of tough on the run. They was bringing extra guys out in the box, and it's tough to get things started. When they got a lot of guys in the box, and we just needed to make a play. So it was tough sledding in the second half.
Yes, it was tough sledding. Apparently it was cold today at Soldier Field. Forte passes Gale Sayers for all-time yards from scrimmage for a Bears rookie. I got to call a timeout.
Was that breaking news?
I got to call a timeout. This is to all Chicago reporters and or people that cover the Bears. It is December. Right. It is freaking cold at Soldier Field.
Get over it.
Both teams play in the same element. I know we're going to talk about it between now and Thursday, because guess what? Thursday at night at Soldier Field, it's going to be cold. It affects everybody. Yeah. Most of these guys are from all different parts of the country.
It is a little bit different, though, when you come in.
Please stop asking questions about the weather.
You're practicing one day at 70 degrees, and the next day you're up here and it's like 70 below.
You got to be kidding me.
You knew they were trouble, though, on the opening kickoff. Maurice Jones-Drew sitting back there.
Yeah.
He's got the face mask on. I thought he was going to go take over a bank or something.
I will say this. Last year when Favre played on the lakefront, he looked like a man that wanted to run away.
Well, we'll pray for global warming by Thursday, so let's get over it. It was cold today.
All right, so we've determined that it's cold. Got that? It was cold. Let's ask.
I think New Orleans knows
6 times about
much like how Jacksonville knew it was going to be cold today. I think New Orleans knows it's going to be cold Thursday night too, so they'll be prepared for it.
Do you have an edge because they're coming from New Orleans and the other team is from Jacksonville and it's really cold up here? Yeah. Okay, we got it.
What about the game we just won? You know, why don't you ask me about that?
Man. All right, let's take a break. We got to regroup. It's cold in the studio as well. We're going to hear from Ron Turner on the other side. Much more as the Bears take care of edition Thursday from Soldier Field. Lou and Dan will be there, and apparently it's going to be cold. Check it out. It's Bears Blitz Thursday, live from Soldier Field before the big game against the Saints. Ron Turner addressed the media a short time ago. Let's listen in.
Pressure's coming in on the pass to down the side.
Yeah, he did a great job, and he's done that all year. He's physical. He's an all-around player. I mean, he'll block, he'll catch, he'll run, and he's very instinctive, very smart. It was good.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was fun. Oh yeah, no question.
Coach, how much did Jacksonville show you in these conditions out here?
Do I know?
How much did Jacksonville show you?
Oh, a lot. I mean, they kept battling, and in the second half, came out, playing hard, and we had trouble getting some stuff going. So, yeah, I mean, they've got a lot of pride, and just like we knew they would, they came in here and played hard and did everything they could to win the football game.
And in these conditions, I mean, again, a lot of these guys, again, you have Forte, first time out there in this.
Yeah.
But you practice in this, I mean, so he's.
Yeah, exactly, and we knew they'd come in and play well and have good focus, and we practiced in it, and it's just a matter of, staying focused on doing your job and not worrying about what the elements are.
Got a short week.
Staying focused.
Well, as our guy Willie asked the question about the cold weather.
You don't need to point that out, Jay. Come on, man. Adam from Clinton, Illinois.
Game. His best part of his game is his decision making and their ability to check plays at the line of scrimmage, like that go route that he checked to at the line of scrimmage to hit Hester on the deep go route down the sideline.
What do you think they will do in terms of the quarterback position of shoring it up? Because obviously, this year they didn't feel comfortable putting Rex back in there after he had an opportunity to play a couple of snaps. What do you think they're going to do this offseason at that position?
I think you have to look around. I think whether it's Donovan McNabb, that's Pat Boyle's favorite, but there's other guys around here. When you look at Sage Rosenfels, what he's doing down there for the Houston Texans. He turned the ball over a little bit, but he's a quality guy that can come in and serve and win you ball games. So there'll be some guys out there that potentially the Bears could get their hands on.
Well, I mean, the only way you would bring a guy like McNabb to Chicago is if you're going to give him the starting gig. I don't see.
I don't think
he's
you have
not
to
going
give
to
it to
accept the
him.
competition.
I don't think you have to give it to him. I think that the natural course of things, you'll find out who's the best quarterback.
He'd have to earn it. I honestly believe that. But I think by default and his ability, he'd win it hands down. There's no doubt in my mind.
When we come back, I want to get into Devin Hester's situation, not only on punt returns, which they did a good job keeping it away from, although a couple times it did come to him. He had some issues with it. And should we abandon him as the number one wide receiver? We're going to also hear from number 23 on US Cellular Bears post-game live. We'll also get the guys' MVPs coming up, and Jerry game on Countdown to Kickoff. Quarterback Nate Vasher, Bears radio analyst Tom Thayer join me to break down every facet of the blue and orange. This week, special time, Wednesday night at 11 as we get you ready for the Saints on Thursday night. That's Countdown to Kickoff every week right here on Comcast Sportsnet. Devin Hester, 5 catches, 80 yards. We'll get into his punt return situation in just a bit. He addressed the media a short time ago. Let's listen in.
When you fighting with your backs against the wall, you really don't have nothing to lose. So now I feel like we starting to just leave it all on the line and just whatever it takes to win. We just got to bolt down and do it. And right now we're in position. We still fighting for the playoffs. We hoping for Minnesota. To fall short on the game. That could bump us up right now. So right now, the most thing we got to do is just focus on just winning out the rest of the games.
And the passing game showed lots of improvement today. I know you were a big part of that. Tell us how that went with Kyle and the guys.
We had a great week of practice, and whenever you have a great week of practice, it carries over to the game, We knew that we were going to get a lot of pressure, That was one of the things that we want to take advantage of. Whenever we got an opportunity to get pressure, let's try to take a shot, and hoping our receivers can win at the battle of the line of scrimmage and get open. And that's what we did tonight. Today.
Ron Turner always talks about that when you guys are getting jammed at the line, it should open up the bigger plays. What are you guys doing to be able to get off that and make separation off?
You just got to be physical back. Whenever you got to anticipate the jam, and it's like karate, you know. Somebody throwing a punch, you got to be able to knock their hand down, and knocking their hand down and keeping your shoulder square and getting upfield is the most important thing. That's what we try to do.
And has it just taken a couple of weeks for you guys to get into that kind of rhythm of doing that?
Yeah,
it's really just the last couple of weeks the team started doing that to you guys.
Right, you know, whenever you get an opportunity, you know, to get pressure, you know, it's a 50-50 chance, you know. Either you're going to get jammed out or you're going to beat them off the line, you know. And we're trying to treat it as more just being physical at the line and just hoping that we can get pressure. That way we can try to make plays. And, you know, lately we've been getting a lot of press.
You look like you also are getting into more of a rhythm with Kyle. You're making adjustments on your routes as well when you see that he's in trouble. Are you guys developing that kind of rhythm together?
Yeah, most definitely. You know, we get it every day in practice. And the coaches do a great job of putting us in certain situations in practice that when it come occur in the game, you know, we know how to adjust to it. And that's what we've been doing is, you know, getting a lot of repetition at it in practice, you know, and it's showing in game time.
Devin Hester here in his kick return situation as a punt returner today. 3 went to him, 3 were out of bounds, 1 was downed. His longest was 22 yards. That set up a Robbie Gould field goal. He did have a muff punt there. Your thoughts in the punt return role from Devin?
Well, I think, you know, he had the one positive return. I think, you know, it's still, hopefully it comes to fruition. I mean, he's explosive. We know he's got speed. A lot of it is the guys blocking up front, but had the one big return today, but still focusing and just catching the football. Is it taken away from his focus? It's hard to say because it has been so long since we've seen him really just go the distance with an explosive punt return.
I think that we've gotten a little spoiled. I mean, what he's done in the past 2 years is something that no one in the NFL has ever done, and we've never seen anything like that. And teams are just basically just catching up a little bit, you know what I mean? He can't take it to the house every single time.
Joshua Cribb's still doing it.
But here's the thing, though. You look at the number of touches that he gets, and is that better for you as a team in terms of him, you know, in the passing game, maybe running a reverse or whatever? So you have different, it gives you different elements that you can go with from an offensive standpoint, too.
And we've seen him with a little bit of more of a burst of speed when they took away the kick return duties and gave that to Daniel. It seems like he's had a little bit more speed out there.
Yeah, it's just that those, you know, when they run those bubble screens, can we take that out of the playbook? Can you get that taken out?
I'm with you. The bubble screens are only good versus all-out blitz, so let's not get too...
And we had no Wildcat this week. All right, time now for the guys to give us their Monsters of the Midway presented by IPA, otherwise known as the Bears MVP. Zoom, we begin with you.
Israel Adonijah is my pick. I mean, he went out there and just dominated, you know, got his hands up. He got a lot of pass deflections, able to come away with a sack and a half. So overall, he played very, very good today.
Jim?
I'm with him. Defensive line, Izzy. I thought he played phenomenal. Had the sack and a half, pressuring David Garrard, forcing him to, you know, to find different passing lanes, and I thought repeatedly was very productive and had a good push at the point of attack.
Well, I'm going to go with Israel Adonijah as well as Anthony Adams. They won the game, so I got 2. Anthony Adams, defensive tackle, didn't know whether or not he's going to be available today to play in the ball game. Comes away with 8 tackles in the ball game from a defensive tackle position. It's awfully good work in there today, and Izzy had a sack and a half.
I'm staying on the defensive side and also special teams, going with Danielle Manning. 3 kick returns, averaging 27 yards per return. He had the big interception. Now, granted, he fumbled it, but it was a big pick that led to the first touchdown of the game and set the tone for the Bears. Here's your MVP standings now after Week 14. And Matt Forte still with a comfortable lead at 17, followed by KO and Lance Briggs. Time for us to take another break here. Here is our U.S. Cellular poll question. Just a couple minutes for you to chime in on it. After the victory over the Jags, do you think the Bears will make the playoffs? Yes or no will do. Go to csnchicago.com to vote. We'll have the results coming up. For the Jaguars, Bears go to 7-6. Unfortunately, the Vikings came from behind and took care of Detroit at Ford Field 20-16. So they remain with that 1-game lead. And as you take a look at the division, they are 4-2. The Bears still with Green Bay on the ledger. As you take a look at the remaining games for both teams, begins Thursday night against New Orleans on the lakefront. Then it's that Monday night game against the Packers for the Bears. Then they go at Houston to end the campaign. Vikings, they go to the desert next week to take on a tough Arizona Cardinals team. It's going to be a track meet to try to keep up with them. Then they have the Falcons, and then they have the Giants. All teams in the playoff picture. Now, we don't know where the Giants are going to be, what that situation is going to be. They'll obviously have things locked up, but...
Positive spin because their best weapon in the pass game just got knocked out today, so keep your eye on what happens with Gus Frerotte. So I think Tavares Jackson's a great athlete, But let's face it, Gus Frerotte replaced him to get that going in the pass game. Now this could be a totally different team and gives the Bears a chance, because they probably will lose 2 out of those 3.
Yeah, if Tavares Jackson's got to be your guy down the stretch, you got a couple of issues to deal with. Minnesota does, and so if that's going to happen, let's hope so.
Coming up, Jiggs is going to award the best comment of the day from you. Jerry will tell you who the best dressed Bear player or accessory was. Results to our U.S. Cellular poll question after this victory. Do you think the Bears will make the playoffs? Here's what you had to say after logging on to CSNChicago.com. 61% say yes, Bears playoffs.
Super Bowl.
Thank you very much for helping us out, as always. Jiggs dived into the email bag and checked out all of your entries, some 500, 600 of them. Jiggs, you like this one, Tim from Chicago.
Dickens said to Peyton to love his Bears, play 4 quarters. Do not stop playing after you get the lead. Go for the jugular. Okay, I don't know if I can write another book about that. I'll have to let Fred Mitchell handle all of that one.
We need Tim to address the troops maybe at halftime. Winner gets an autographed copy, Tim does, of the book. Then Ditka said to Peyton, the best Chicago Bears stories ever told by Dan and his buddy Fred Mitchell. All right, time now for Jerry's GQ.
Yes.
Where the dapper one picks the best dressed Bears player.
Yes, yes.
First up, we got a little honorable mention, right?
Yeah, a little honorable mention. Israel Adonijah, you know, when you look good, you feel good, you play good, all that good stuff. And right now, you know, he has his little winter outfit going.
Yeah, the winter creams.
Winter cream.
Clearly, a
Big
guy
Papa
from
hat.
Canada
That is a GQ statement
It
right
is,
there for a big
but
man.
it wasn't good enough because we have little Anthony Adams.
Yeah, way to go,
As
little
the
Anthony.
winner right there. Nice little bubble jacket, you know, and the stylish boots.
Yeah.
Now those stylish boots with the socks.
Are those Gucci or?
You know what? I can't really see. It might be. Yeah, it might look like it's Gucci.
Maybe Gucci. We called them moon boots when I was a kid.
Baby Gucci. All right, here's Jerry's GQ. Little Anthony Adams checking in with 14, week 14. All right, quickly, guys, do you think they're going to make it? They're going to make the playoffs?
Have a chance. They have a chance.
With what's going on in Minnesota? Yeah.
We'll see you guys Thursday night as soon as the game against the Saints is over. So long, everybody. We'll have much more on this on Sports Night tonight after the Blackhawks game. So long, everybody.
Bears Postgame Live on Comcast Sportsnet is presented by U.S. Cellular. U.S. Cellular. Believe in something better.
Did you know with just 1 day of training, you can go scuba diving? With 2 weeks, you can be certified. After 3 weeks, you can swim with sharks. And after 5 weeks, who knows what you could do? But it takes 6 weeks of training to be a customer service associate at U.S. Cellular. That's why we have the most loyal customers in the industry.
Tonight, Jonathan James and the Blackhawks hope to make the Coyotes' performance look ugly when they face off at the UC. Coverage starts at 5:30 with Chevy Blackhawks pregame live. Blackhawks Coyotes in HD brought to you by Sylvania. Tonight at 5:30 on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend.
Farmers Insurance presents Americans in Focus.
Dr. Juan Carlos Finley became famous for discovering what caused and transmitted yellow fever to hundreds of thousands of people worldwide. Yellow fever was very significant in the United States of America. It killed over 100,000 Americans, and he determined it was a specific type of mosquito that was transmitting the disease. The medical world laughed at Dr. Juan Carlos's theory, but yet they were the ones who were being foolish. In 1871, Dr. Finley